seems more like a Tuesday for me. So I had to remember that it's actually Friday.
It is. It turns out I've done the research. It is absolutely Friday.
Why are you wearing a GVL shirt?
Yeah, that's why. Because I saw it, and I thought, that's my thing. For those of you that don't follow me around all the other things that I do, I do my best to be very invested in the local sporting community of Greenville and Spartanburg, South Carolina. Triumph games, Drive games, Swamp Rabbit games, etc. Soon to be Spartanburgers games. Can't wait to get over. More baseball is good, people. By the way, here's my question. Since they're going to be playing each other, since they're going to be divisional opponents / rivals, Lonzo, what is our stance, if any, on picking between the Greenville Drive and the Spartanburgers? Or
this is easy.
Is it permissible to be a fan of both?
This is easy solution. We can be bought.
We can be bought. We can.
I mean, that's. I mean, who wants our fandom?
As my old high school football coach used to say, I cannot be bought. I can be rented.
Okay, there you go. We can be rented for the baseball season.
I'm just saying.
And it doesn't. It's not an exclusive rental agreement.
No, it's not.
It's just for this season.
I'm just saying. And I want to lean on this. Greenville Drive haven't invited us to come throw out a first pitch yet. Okay? Now, the old iteration of the Spartanburgers, which is not the same or connected in any way to the new iteration of the Spartanburgers, the old Spartanburgers had us out to throw a first pitch. The Greenville Drive have not invited us to throw out a first pitch. And yes, I am absolutely lobbying for that to happen. If you happen to be listening, Greenville Drive, when the season starts up, your boy absolutely would love to come out. And I want you to know I'm throwing off the bump. None of this half-ass, halfway between the bump and the dish stuff. I'm going to the top of the mound, and I'm bringing Class A hater.
I don't know, man. It's been a couple years. I mean,
yeah,
do you still have the heat?
But what did I do?
Oh, you did.
What did I do? Piped it, corked it, center mass, baby.
You did. I was there, and I got credit for catching the ball, even though Keegan did it. That's fine. I'm good with that. We can do that again. I'm not sure. I mean, you're pushing 40. You may not have it anymore.
I got to tell you,
the old rotator cuff.
Listen, the rotator cuff is good today. You give me a first pitch out there at Floor Field. I'll sacrifice the rotator cuff for the people. All right. Rotator cuff good. I'll Drew Brees myself if it means I'm putting one over the dish at a hearty 70 miles an hour. Just screaming it in there. And by the way, you had better believe if that was to happen. They have at Floor Field, they have the Pitchman tracking software. That's a software that when we say RoboUmps, that's what we're talking about. It's in minor league baseball. It's at Floor Field. You would better believe that the second that I'm done, the second that I tunnel one straight down the pipe, I am leaving the field. I am going up the secret elevator to the press box. I'm walking down the hall to where the PitchCom tracker is. I'm throwing open the door, and I'm going, show me the readout. I want RPM. I want speed. I want exact moment and spot 3-dimensionally that it cleared the plate. I want it all. But I will say this. The Greenville Drive have not invited us to throw out a first pitch. The old Spartanburgers did. The new ones, they're brand new. They haven't yet. It's a new iteration. I'm not saying that Lonzo and I will easily pick a side based on it. I'm just saying we can't be bought, but we can be rented. All right? I'm just saying whichever one of you two teams wants the Rob Brown bump, because Zoe and I, there's magic in these mics. We got Gunther, the longest intercontinental championship of all time. Orange Cassidy.
We also got him the world champion.
We did.
Don't forget that.
We did. That is true.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy came on the show and had one of the best following 6 months of his career. We have had tag team champions come on the show. We've had intercontinental champions. We have had AEW tag and world heavyweight champions. And everybody that comes on this show gets a bump. You can't name me a wrestler or a pro athlete that hasn't come on this show and immediately had success afterwards. You can't do it because we've tracked it. Everybody that comes on this show goes on to have immediate success. So all I'm saying is Spartanburgers, Drive, there's room for one. So whoever wants the Rob Brown Show bump, whoever wants whatever magic it is that Lonzo manifests with his soon-to-be owned Gandalf walking stick, all right? Whoever wants that little bit of dark magic orchestrated by the Rob Brown Show, you call us, you let us know, we'll be there. And you will get exclusive rights to the fandom of the cast and crew of the Rob Brown Show. But you gotta hook us up. I'm not asking for stuff. I don't want merch. I mean, I do want merch and gear. I like having the customized jerseys.
Come on. I mean, we're live on stream and have been for a really long time. And if you want your gear seen by millions
and millions,
it's the place to come to.
It kind of is. All right. So I'm just saying, if you want to toss us some, if you want to toss some jerseys,
my wide body can be rocking your logo. That's all I'm saying.
If you want to toss us a jersey with Rob Brown 3 on the back, if you want to toss us a jersey with Lonzo 69 nice on the back, all right, we'll rock the hell out of them.
I do that. 67 will work. I don't need no 60. Yeah.
I forgot to put my Gronk laugh onto my soundboard. I got to get that fixed.
That's a shame.
Got to get my Gronk laugh back into the mix. The point here is, our fandom can't be bought, but it can be rented. It can be rented by the season. It can be rented by the year. It can be rented by the decade. It just depends on how bad you want the Rob Brown Show bump. But I'm telling you, everybody who comes on this show, magic happens immediately after. So I'm just saying, all right? Speaking of saying, we got a lot of sports stuff we got to say over the next 4 hours of sports talk excellence, the foremost electrifying hours in sports talk entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. We have to get into today your final spot in the college football playoff semifinals is here. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish have fought their way in. They are set. They will be taking on the Penn State Nittany Lions when we get to the semifinals. Yay. It's back.
Yeah. Two people celebrating, you and him.
Oh, I got this one back too.
I got him.
Thanks, Mina. You're the best. So Notre Dame is in. Everything they wanted last night. You know what? I'm going to take it back. They didn't get everything they wanted. There's two things I got to say about this game, great one, and I'm curious. Did you get it? Well, you watched the whole thing. It started at 4:00. That's early enough. You got to watch it, right?
Yes.
4:00. Like you hit that, then you hit the Bob Evans for the early bird.
Well, it's the blue plate at the cafeteria.
Check.
There are no Bob Evans in this area that I'm aware of. Used to be one across the street, but it just didn't take for some reason. Yeah, it was right over there.
Huh.
Went there just once a week until they decided, it's not going to work in this area.
I've never been to a Bob Evans before. That's a weird.
If you're gonna do it, go to Ohio and do it.
Yeah,
because it's better there.
Is that like it's like Northern Waffle House? Is that what that is?
No. I don't know
Northern Denny's.
I don't know which one came first. The
Waffle House.
Bob Evans been around for a really long time.
There's no way it wasn't Waffle House.
And their corporate headquarters was in Columbus, like right around the corner from where I lived.
Waffle Houses. Yeah, boy. Good to be getting back into the groove, man. Get back into the groove in 2025. Never been to a Bob Evans. Anyway, the point here is, did you get to watch the game? Because I'm going to tell you, great one. I was unimpressed with Notre Dame. Even in the win, good win. You knocked off an SEC powerhouse in Georgia. Yeah, backup quarterback. And by the way, good call on Gunnar Stockton, Lonzo.
Thank you.
Good call on Gunnar Stockton.
It didn't help him win. Turnovers cost him, but still, he threw some.
He was balling until the fourth quarter. Then he started. I think he got out of himself a little bit. I think he may have gotten a bit. Listen, the first three quarters, Gunnar Stockton was balling with a capital B, and then in the fourth, I think he started feeling himself a little bit. You know what I mean? I think he started getting to the point where he's like, "Oh, turns out I am him. Let me go act like it." And I think he started playing out in the what's the old expression? Out in front of the skis a little bit. I think he got to the point where he was kind of feeling himself, and it led to some mistakes down the stretch. But I'm also not going to put it on Gunnar Stockton because, keeping it a buck, Gunnar Stockton gave us a hell of a lot more than I thought Gunnar Stockton was going to give us. Lonzo called the shot. He's like, what if this kid comes in, he's everything that's advertised, and he's I'm going to tell you right now, based on what I saw last night, and perhaps this is a bit of a reach because it's one game. It's just one game. It's one game.
Don't you trust in Kirby's Cruton?
That's not even the Cruton. That kid should have replaced Gunnar Stockton in week 5.
Gunnar Stockton
Gunnar Stockton should have replaced Carson Beck in week 5, based on what I saw last night. Again,
who a family member calls handsome Squidward.
That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. We were watching something. They showed him last night, and the wife was like, he kind of looks like Sid the Sloth from Ice Age. I was like, all right, that's messed up, dude. That's messed up. All right. Anyway, point here is he should have replaced Carson Beck weeks ago. If what we saw last night was an indication. Now, again, Notre Dame had like a couple of drives worth of film on this guy. So who's to say that he doesn't get found out after a few weeks? But Gunnar Stockton looked good. Here's what this game came down to. The ETN fumble in the first quarter, because that's 7 points off. That's a 7-point swing. Didn't Notre Dame go get a field goal off that? Or either way, Georgia, it's at least a 7-point swing. That one's got to be. You had the dropped guaranteed touchdown on the left side in the either late third or early fourth quarter. You had the drop touchdown. That's another. There's 14 points off of 2 plays, right? There's the fumble. Again, it wouldn't have been on that play, but Georgia would have been down inside the 10 at that point. I'm trusting them to score there. Although I trusted them to score when they had the ball left. They got the ball with 14 and some change left in the fourth quarter of that game. So they had 5 minutes of possession inside the 25-yard line going in. Took them 5 minutes, and they did not score in that spot.
It looked like okay, Georgia's got a shot in this. They're gonna score here. It's gonna be, they got a shot, and it just didn't happen. It was gotta be very disappointing if you're a Georgia fan.
Tell you the truth, this guy's starting to get on my nerves.
By the way, really quick, Denny's started in 1953, Waffle House 1955.
Ooh.
Bob Evans 1948.
Oh, the OG. Bob Evans, the OG. Waffle House still better. Wow,
you can't say that because you haven't been to Bob Evans. But anyway, this is already a foregone conclusion, according to some people, that it's going to be Ohio State and Notre Dame. I think people are forgetting that they're actually playing against other people. I heard it a little bit earlier while I was setting up with the national show, and they make it sound like that's the title game.
I want to be real clear here. I'm picking Penn State today. I'm not. Riley Leonard had 90 yards of passing offense last night. They were not throwing the ball well. If it wasn't for the ETN fumble in the first, the dropped touchdown on the left-hand side, and then great one, there's 2 that I can recall, maybe 3. I want to say there was one more. 2 I can recall. Just drops that would have been first downs that kept Georgia drives alive. At least 2 third downs that Stockton put the ball into the receiver's breadbasket, and they just put it on the turf and ended up having to punt or go for it on fourth down. There were, I off the top of my head, I can think of 4 plays. And before you hit me with, well, Rob, that's part of the game of football. Dude, if you get to a point where you are relying on wide receivers to have the ball just hit him in the face mask and go to the turf to win games, you're not going to win games. Not at this level. Certainly not in the semifinals. Daggum sure not in the national championship. It's not going to happen. Notre Dame last night needed a lot of help. Got a lot of help. I don't know if they needed it. Whether or not they needed it is irrelevant. They got a lot of help. And even after getting a lot of help last night, if Georgia scores on that opening drive, or I guess continuation drive that they had the ball in the fourth quarter, when they were down inside the 25, and it just got squirrely on them. If they score as they should have on that play or on that drive, now all of a sudden we're looking at a 23-17 game with a full fourth quarter to play. Yeah, I think Georgia can still win that football game, but they didn't. And that is on Georgia, and credit to Notre Dame's defense for coming up with the stop there. But there were like 3 other spots that Georgia could have, should have, would have scored. I'm not impressed with Notre Dame's offense. The Penn State defense that took Kevin Jennings out of the game, the Penn State defense that took Ashton Jeanty out of the game. Well, they had 103 yards, Rob. Yeah, I know. He had 103 yards, and it took 30 carries to get there. He averaged less than 3.5 yards a carry. That Penn State defense getting after Riley Leonard in the Notre Dame offense, I'm picking Penn State right now. That might change my mind. I got 7 more days. I got a week to change my mind. But right now, the early indication, Ohio State, Penn State in the Natty, Big Ten stand up. All right, we're going to talk a lot more about that game last night. We will start breaking down the college football playoff semifinals. We're going to get into the NFL playoff scenarios from this weekend and more. It's all coming up. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. All right, good morning, everybody hanging out in the background and not saying anything on the screen, just kind of being voyeurs. Great to have you.
Why you up, Lisa? Get some rest. What are you doing?
Me?
No, I was talking to
Oh, I was like,
someone named Lisa
someone named Lisa.
who's on vacation and should be sleeping.
SEC Women's Basketball Tournament returns to Greenville, South Carolina, as Bon Secours Wellness Arena hosts the annual celebration of SEC Women's Hoops, March 5th through 9th. Join us and experience Greenville as you create memories and we crown a champion. Tickets on sale now. Head to SECsports.com for more information. That's March 5th through the 9th in Greenville. SEC Women's Basketball. It just means more.
Welcome to the Ingles Table, a delicious destination with recipes galore. Need to whip up a dessert, entree, side dish? No problem. The experts from the Ingles Table take you through it step by step, with expert tips and advice along the way. Find the Ingles Table at ingles-markets.com or swing by the store and pick up your free copy of the Ingles Table magazine. And let's get cooking. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids.
So I'm just looking at the Facebook feed, and it looks like Rob's side was just black. Weird.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ for the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Sponsored by Rapid Radio. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. A great alternative to mobile.
IDK, my BFF Jill.
And you'll get 60% off. Free UPS shipping. Add code radio for 5% off.
Can't wait to hear what's next on Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel. Tell me what's coming up. Did Lane Kiffin put his water where his mouth
It's like
is?
she forgets something important there, Cole.
Turn it on and leave it on.
Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
I know what it was. They were having a stare down about who was going to talk first. I'm not talking first. I'm not talking first.
I am going to alert you to this multiple times throughout the duration of the show. But alarm. I chose the word alert very intentionally so that we're clear to avoid this.
It's the only alarm that I have. So, I mean, you know.
I chose the word alert very intentionally to avoid that. But let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, the new and improved Fan Upstate Armada text line is ready to go. And here's the good news. The good news is that you only got to save one contact in your phone, because now the call in and the text in are the same number. 844-326-3663. 844-FAN-FONE. 844-326-3663. Save it in your phone. That's the number that you call to get on the air. If you're one of the elite 1%ers that call radio shows, it is a rule in talk radio that 1% of listenership will ever pick up the phone, dial, and get on the air. If you do that, you are P1, you are elite. But if you don't want to do that, the text line is open for you right now. 844-326-3663. You don't have to start your text with fan anymore, because after waiting, anticipating, we now have our own dedicated text line. It's the same number as the call-in line, 844-326-3663. Shoot over your text. And what I am most excited about on the brand new and improved Armada text line
Is the fact that I can't look and see all the ones you skipped that are positive about me because I
There's
can't
not
get
that many
on
of
it.
those.
Oh yeah, there are. I looked at them every day.
No, that
You
is not.
conveniently forgot, but that's fine. I can't look at it now because I have to do 2.5 hours of training,
That is not.
which means I will never have the text line.
That is not what is most exciting about the text line. What is most exciting about the text line is that now we have the ability to have a vote poll every day on the show that you vote in via the text line. Here's today's, because you gotta start off, you gotta ease into it. You gotta ramp up. It's a slow build. It's a slow burn, as we in the wrestling fandom might say. So today's text line question of the day is very simple. Which of the playoff Final Four is going to win the national championship? Here's how you vote. All you got to do is text Lions, Irish, Buckeyes, or Longhorns to 844-326-3663. That's all you got to do. You text Irish, Lions, Buckeyes, or Longhorn. Nittany Lions. That's too many. It's too much to ask people to text.
Okay,
right?
all right. It was,
Yeah.
It's
And be
all right.
like, text Nittany Lions. No, just text Lions.
You
all
should
right?
have went Nittany.
You know how many people are going to misspell Nittany?
Yes.
So many. So many.
That's the fun part.
844-326-3663 is the Armada text line. Who of the playoff Final Four is going to win the national championship? Text your vote to 844-326-3663. Text Lions, Longhorns, Irish, or Buckeyes to 844-326-3663. And here's what's even cooler than that. For those that are on the Twitter this morning, you can actually participate in this poll as well. All you have to do is tweet at the Fan Upstate and then tweet hashtag Lions, hashtag Irish, hashtag Buckeyes, or hashtag Longhorns. All right. So if you're on your phone this morning and you would like to vote in our poll, which of the playoff Final Four is going to win the Natty, you can text 844-326-3663. Text Lions, Irish, Buckeyes, or Longhorns, or on Twitter, text at the Fan Upstate, hashtag Lions, hashtag Buckeyes, hashtag Longhorns, or hashtag whatever the other one I forgot is. Irish. No, I said Irish. Buckeyes, Irish, Longhorns, Lions. That's it. All right. Hashtag whatever one of those your votes is. Send them to, again, either text line 844-326-3663 or send the hashtag of your answer at the Fan Upstate on Twitter. At the end of the show, we will tabulate those and I will announce them on social media and on the air.
Did you make these show specific or did you, because there's a way to do that according to the training.
There is, but the way that it is going to work is that this poll will close with 15 minutes remaining in the show. So we will know this poll closes at 9:45 a.m., which means that the last thing that we will do before we ask what the X is going on every day at 9:45 is to check the results of that day's poll. Today's poll, very simple. Which of the Final Four teams will win the national championship? Text your answer, Lions, Longhorns, Buckeyes, or Irish to 844-326-3663 or on Twitter at @TheFanUpstate, hashtag Irish, hashtag Lions, hashtag Longhorns, hashtag Buckeyes, and we will tabulate that and determine who it is that you all feel is the best team left standing at 9:45, and I will put the answer out on our social media after the show. All right. Texter said, Rob, Notre Dame scored 17 points in 57 seconds of real game time. That, all caps, was the ball game. Freeman out-coached Kirby. Georgia Klemp zoned last PM, period. End quote. I will say this. I think Marcus Freeman did a hell of a job in that game. The run off on of the field goal unit, right? Late in that game, they sent on the field goal unit. Georgia adjusted to it. They ran off all 11, ran the offense back on. Now, I will say this. It almost screwed Notre Dame. And this is one of the things that you can do it, but you got to be very careful about the timing of that, right? Because if you put field goal unit on and then you run them off and you run your offense back out there, remember, if you make those mass substitutions, the defense has the right to make their own substitutions. And the official is going to stand over the football until they feel that the defense has had sufficient time to make those substitutions. So they did that, and the official was standing over the ball until there was about 4 seconds left on the play clock before he got out of the way. Notre Dame was able to get the snap off and run the ball there against Georgia's defense that was kind of trying to get set and figure out what was going on. It almost bit him. It almost bit him in the backside because had that referee stayed for another second or two, there was a very good chance that it could have ended up being a delay of game. Now, don't know that it would have mattered other than it would have backed Notre Dame that much further up towards their own end zone. But, Kirby came out and complained about it. After the game was over, he's like, in fact, he said at one point, he said, the SEC officials told us that you cannot run 11 off and 11 on like that. Well, I got to tell you, if that's what the SEC told you, blame the SEC. I don't know what you want to tell you. The rule in that case is they absolutely can, but the defense gets time to make their substitution as well. And as we saw in the last game.
Illinois, South Carolina for that.
Yep. As we saw in the last game, if a situation ultimately gets created where the offensive team ends up taking a delay of game because they do not give the defensive team sufficient time to make the adjustments, that's on them, dog. That's on them. So, it just kind of is what it is, but I would agree with you. I think okay. Let's start with this. Did Marcus Freeman outright outcoach Kirby Smart last night? I have already said, I said it back in the first segment of the show. Yes, 17 points in 57 seconds was the ball game. You are exactly correct. However, I would point out that if ETN doesn't fumble that ball in the first quarter and Georgia scores on that initial drive going in, and they put a touchdown on the board. Because I'll tell you, I was tweeting out early in that game, great one. I was on social media saying it looks like the SEC fans are going to get to lean on their bigger, stronger, faster narrative for another year, right? Early in the game, it looked like Georgia was just going to push Notre Dame around. Early in the game, it looked like Georgia was just whipping that Irish rear right at the line of scrimmage, which I said coming into the second round of the playoffs. I was not, as far as my picks go, I was not going to make the same mistake that I made in round one. The mistake that I made in round number one that I said I wasn't going to make in round number two was overthinking the games, right? Overthink. Well, you know, if SMU with Kevin Jennings is able to do this, they got a chance to win here. And what ended up happening was that I came up with all these variables, and I just assumed that SMU would be able to do all these things. And the reality was, no. I just got ripped at the line of scrimmage. Going into the Ohio State-Tennessee game, I said, look, Tennessee has got, in my opinion, maybe the best front seven in the playoffs. And if they can do this, and this to Will Howard, they're going to be fine. Now, this is probably not the best example from round number one.
Yeah, I'm guessing you probably should have skipped over that example.
Because Ohio State whipped Tennessee's rear end at the line of scrimmage. But again, I think with that one, Zoe, even you brought it up, this was a Buckeye offensive line that has been a mash unit all year long. It has had guys rotating from position to position, from depth chart spot to depth chart spot, et cetera, et cetera. And that kind of made it a little more difficult. But, you know, with Clemson, we were coming up with all these special things that Dabo could have his team do to give themselves a chance on the road against Texas. And Texas just came out and said, yeah, we're just going to kick your ass where the football is. And you're going to have to do special stuff. And Clemson just could not do it. Texas ran for 292 yards. That'll win you every ball game. So with all of that being said, round two, I said, look, I'm going to pick the bigger, faster, stronger team. But the thing is, there was one exception, was Georgia. And Lonzo was still almost right. I said, look, I think you're coming in here with a backup quarterback who has thrown 51 passes, and depending on how this game goes, might have to throw 51 passes in this one in order to get him there. Alonzo said, yeah, but what if he's a real deal? What if he's as advertised? What if he is that good? And I thought, I mean, he might be, but am I going to bank on that? The answer is, yeah, I should have. But Notre Dame came out in this game, and I'm going to say this. Did Notre Dame win the line of scrimmage last night? I don't think they did. I think Georgia won the line of scrimmage. I think that what this game came down to was, with all due respect to Notre Dame, and again, as I said last night when I was hosting BetMGM tonight, Brandon, who is one of the producers, big Irish guy, he was all upset at me because I said, honestly, I think Georgia did enough to win the ball game, but then they just gave a bunch of it back. And he said, wait a minute, we won. And I said, yeah, you did. But if Etienne doesn't fumble that ball in the first quarter, that's a touchdown. That's a game breaker. If I forget the kid's name, but the wide receiver doesn't drop a touchdown pass that hit him in the face on the left-hand side, that's a touchdown. That's a game breaker. If there were not one, not two, but 3 first down plays that Georgia receivers don't just drop the ball, more drops than anybody else in college football. They ended at like 41 drop passes this year for Georgia. If they don't drop those, they win the ball game. I think Georgia shot themselves in the foot more than Notre Dame took it from them. That's why I'm a Penn State guy in the next round. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Fan Upstate is your home for Paladins football and basketball. Follow all the action live right here on the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. No significant traffic issues this early Friday morning. For many, it's still holidays, so that makes for light traffic. A drive on 85 between Greenville and Spartanburg is 30 to 35 minutes. Coming into Greenville from Travelers Rest on 45 Whitehorse, it's 17 minutes. I-26 through Spartanburg is wide open, as is the 585 loop. From the News Star, 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-507-9701. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-507-9701. That's 800-507-9701. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Chronic joint pain has a snowball effect. It's not just the pain.
What that did is just make me depressed that I couldn't get back into the gym, and I was inactive, gaining weight. I had to find another alternative.
And for Chad, that alternative was QC Kinetics and the non-surgical natural biologic treatments that can give lasting relief to aching hips, shoulders, knees, and backs.
Once they explained it, it made sense. Putting what we have inside our body back into us in a certain strategic way to heal us.
I've reached the point now where I have to decide
Kinetics treatments take
how long can I hold it before I have to go to the restroom.
So you don't have to move.
Well, you saw earlier, it has me concerned. And, I'd hate to not make it back in here.
Gravity remains undefeated, baby.
Gravity's not the problem. I guess I could army crawl because you can't crawl without a knee. Well, you kind of can't. I guess you can crawl on one knee and two hands. It would be very difficult. Army crawling is a lot easier on shag carpet. You got something to grab a hold of. We don't have shag carpet.
We do not. We have
Panels.
1980s church gym basketball court carpet.
Wait, they had carpet?
Oh, hell yeah. My youth group gym growing up was a carpet basketball court, complete
Really?
with the lines in the carpet and everything. Oh, yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
heard of that before.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Playing big man and going to the floor on that gym sucked.
Oh. So would you rather have a gym floor burn or a rug burn?
It was a rug burn. It was literally this
Right.
carpet.
I know.
Oh, it was a rug
You
burn.
fell on a gym floor before and gotten an actual.
Oh, I'd rather
burn?
fall on a hardwood floor
Okay, that's what I was
100% of the
asking.
time. Yeah. All right. So, power ranking the four teams remaining in the college football semifinals. The Ohio State Horse Chestnuts, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the Texas Longhorns, and the Penn State Nittany Lions, eh? I don't think that's how they talk in Pennsylvania, but I don't know what Pennsylvanians talk like. So.
Well, it's kind of almost Canada. It's not quite Michigan.
Well, that's what I
but
did, eh?
Yeah.
Go Nittany Lions,
It's like toned down a little.
The Penn State Nittany Lions, don't you know?
That sounds more like Wisconsin.
I don't know. Anyway, of the 4 teams,
Or Alaska.
power ranked, Lonzo, in after the quarterfinals, power ranked in the confidence that I have for them to win the national championship.
Ooh, can I go first?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to go Buckeyes,
1,
Penn State,
2,
Notre Dame,
3,
Texas.
Texas 4. Texas 4 behind Notre Dame. I'm going Buckeyes 1, Penn State 2, Texas 3, Notre Dame 4. For the record, I hope there's a part of me that wants to see Notre Dame win it, not because I'm a Notre Dame fan, but just because they're kind of, it's been 31 years since they've done anything of note in a bowl game. It would be, I think, one of those things that, as cliche as it sounds, it's one of those spots where it's like, okay, college football's better if Notre Dame's a genuine participant in it. And I think they got to win to get back there. But I agree with you. Buckeyes won, no questions asked. They're the only team that has been consistently dominant in these playoffs.
I'd say Penn State, I think, has a bigger chip on their shoulder than Notre Dame does. I think that's going to factor in. Because their coach has been told he can't win the big one.
I mean, so is yours, though, right? So is yours. I think Marcus Freeman's got. I think Marcus Freeman took the pressure off last night. I think James Franklin, despite having, because here's what I did notice when I was hosting BetMGM tonight last night, we were having this conversation. I was obviously scanning social media throughout the evening, and as I was doing that, and the more I looked at it, the more I saw on social media, the more I saw the conversation taking place over and over that Penn State got a very beneficial draw in these playoffs. And I don't think it's unfair to say that is true, right? Like, I don't think it is unfair to say that Penn State catching Indiana, SMU, Boise State, and then making their way into the semifinal was the easy. They had a hell of a lot more than the Oregon Ducks even.
This was brought into question like right after the seeding happened, and the commissioner, the dude from Michigan, don't remember his name. I just know that I look at him and see Michigan. Said they have nothing to do with placing teams in a certain. It just has to do with how the seeding works, and Ohio State and Oregon in the same thing was kind of ridiculous.
I mean, again, like the bracket kind of is the way the bracket is, right? Like there is I think there is a long-term reality coming down the pipe that I think at some point we end up in a spot where we are going to have, instead of, because we've had this conversation before, where I think the playoff selection committee, which already obviously does do their own rankings at this spot, maybe does some reseeding, right? Do we maybe reseed the playoffs? Because you look at the Oregon Ducks, and even though they caught a bye, they get Ohio State in round 2. Penn State had to play in round 1, but let me ask you this, genuinely. If I put your team in the playoffs right now, and I said before the playoffs started, you can go Ohio State, Texas, Natty, or you can go SMU, Boise State, winner of Notre Dame, Georgia, Natty. Aren't you taking the second path? Even though it's an additional game, aren't you taking the second path as opposed to playing 2 of the top 3 teams in America to get there? The answer to me is yeah. The answer to me is yes. So I do think, and we talked about this earlier in the week, we talked about the fact that the College Football Playoff Committee, according to Brett McMurphy of The Athletic, is looking at changing the seeding process for the College Football Playoff Tournament. And instead of giving the top 4 conference champions the 4 byes, they would just give the top 4 teams the 4 byes, right? And we went and looked and broke down what that bracket would look like this year if they went about it that way. And you had some pretty big changes down the pipe if it would have gone down that way. I'm trying to go back and pull up what that bracket would have looked like this year if they would have seeded it that way. I saved it somewhere, and I'm trying to go find where it was. But basically, you would have ended up like you'd have had Tennessee. Here it is. You'd have had Tennessee hosting Indiana in round one. Excuse me, Boise State on the road at Indiana in round one. You'd have had Clemson at Notre Dame, Arizona State at Ohio State, SMU at Tennessee. On paper, that might be a more interesting first round. I would also say, with the exception of maybe Boise State, Indiana, I mean, maybe Arizona State could have made it a game with Ohio State. Honestly, I think Tennessee probably gets the better of SMU. I still think you would have had the 4 higher seeded teams move on. I think Boise State probably could have beaten Indiana. Not a guarantee. I think they could have. But the point here is, had they done it that way, you'd have potentially had a more interesting bracket. But I would also say this. You're not doing a damn thing to kill off the criticism that this is the SEC Big Ten Invitational because, and I pointed this out, your 4 host sites in round one, Big Ten Indiana, Independent Notre Dame, Big Ten Ohio State, SEC Tennessee. Your 4 byes would have been Big Ten Oregon, Big Ten Penn State, SEC Texas, SEC Georgia. So basically, on one hand, and we talked about this, and I haven't gotten a chance to address this with the Great One yet. On one hand, Great One, you would have had, I think, a more interesting bracket, to keep it a buck with you. Even though I don't have a problem with what everything has been so far, you'd have had a more interesting bracket. But on the flip side, yeah, the SEC and the Big Ten would have got all the handouts. They would have got the benefit of the doubt. They would have hosted all but one of the 4 sites. The only one they didn't was Independent Notre Dame. They would have had all 4 of the byes. It would have absolutely been set up to give an easier path to the SEC and the Big Ten. And the question mark is, do you feel like they are justified in doing that because they were the best 2 conferences in football?
So if they do reseeding, what's to stop them from doing it for marketing purposes? Because because that's really what I believe they'll do. If they can reseed, they're going to go, okay, we put this team here and this team over here, so we have the best possible national championship game.
Look, I think the way
as
they're
far
gonna,
as viewership goes.
I think the way they're going to look at it is this, and we talked about this very briefly yesterday. Probably should have spent more time on it. The TV ratings for the Saturday games, when there were 2 college football games up against 2 NFL games, came out. College football got its ass whipped. That's all there is to it. The 2 college football games that were up against NFL games had 6 and I think 8 million viewers. And the NFL games averaged 14 million
and
viewers.
those were playoff games, weren't they?
They were playoff games. Clemson and Texas was one of them. 6 million viewers. You know what the 2 college football games on Sunday averaged? The ones that were, on what was the other day? That the 2 college football games that weren't up against NFL games. You know how many they got? 14 million viewers. So I would also point out that 2 of those games were absolute beatdowns, right? And so the argument I think you're going to end up seeing, in this conversation is not only are we going to either have to change the schedule to not be up against NFL games, but we have got to figure out a way to make the games more entertaining, not have 4 blowouts. I think this is kind of the first experiment. By the way, didn't I tell you coming into this year, because I didn't think this was going to be a shock to anybody, didn't I tell you coming into this year, guys, we're going to tinker at the end of this year, right? This is year 1 of a major change. Maybe the biggest individual 1-year change to the championship structure in college football.
Quick question, because I should know this, but for some reason it's eluding me. The 4 teams that remained, did any of them win their championship? I don't think they did.
Nope.
Did they?
Nope. Your all 4 of your conference champs, the Big 4 conference champs, and Boise State all bounced. Your Big 4 that got your 4 that got the bye were bounced. And then your ACC champ in Clemson, who got in as the 12th seed, got bounced in round 1. No, none of your, and this is the other reason they're going to do that, because in year number 1 of the 12-team playoff, 0 conference champions make it to the semifinal. All 4 are at-larges. So they're going to look at this and go, whoa, hang on. Maybe we've undersold or I guess in this case, oversold what winning a conference championship means. Now, I'll tell you who's going to hate this. The conferences, right? Because the whole conversation has been floating around, should we begin? I played you a quote from CBS Sports Chip Patterson the other day, where he's like, you want to fix all this? Get rid of conference championship games. Throw them out the window. Have every team play 12 regular season games and rack them up by the playoff selection committee. Get rid of conference championship games. They do nothing to help. In fact, they only complicate with no purpose. But you know the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the Mountain West, all these conferences, they're not going to do that because the conference championship games are worth millions of dollars in TV money.
They could still name a conference champion.
They could do absolutely a regular
mean,
season conference champion. But there's a reason we stopped doing that between the early, the mid 90s into the mid 2000s, and everybody switched over because it's a money-making opportunity. And I can promise you, no matter what you're thinking about doing to make college football better, if it's going to cost somebody money, you might as well throw that idea out. All right. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to end up going, but I do think it is interesting that none of the college football conference champions that made the tournament have advanced into the semifinals. It's all runners up. It's all second place teams. So I think there's something to be said for that. And I am interested in seeing how the rest of these playoffs shape up. More importantly, I'm interested in seeing what changes the CFP decides to make to themselves during this offseason after this whole thing plays out. But
so if you're an SEC, it just means more guy. Are you a big time Texas fan right now?
I mean, if you're an SEC guy, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it's the last remaining SEC team.
Yeah.
And I guess if you look at it, if you're a conference guy, the Big Ten is the conference, right?
I mean, again, I don't get into that crap, so I don't care.
I said if you were.
Yeah. I don't get into that crap, so I don't care. If you're an SEC guy, hell yeah, you're a big old Texas fan right now. Yeehaw, rootin' tootin' Cowboys. Let's go get them. SEC. By the way, the Big 12's team that just came over. So there's that.
Yeah. Sure.
I think, again, I don't really care about all that. I care about finding out who the best team in college football is. And I think right now, based on what we've seen so far, great one, I think we got the best 4 teams in this tournament moved on to the semifinals. I think we have the best 4 teams that made this tournament on their way into the semifinals, and all of them played in round 1. Now, here's the other question. If you're looking at that, if you're a team in a conference championship game next year, and you're looking at what happened to Oregon, actually, you're looking at to all 4 teams that caught a bye. But if you're looking at those teams, do you maybe kind of write off conference championship games? Do you toss your conference championship game next year? Do you roll the backups out there and go, we don't really care? And everybody who had the bye last year got beat in round 2. So we're out. We don't want it. Because I got to tell you, if I offered today Oregon the opportunity to have flipped places with Penn State and go play where Penn State was playing and send Penn State to play Ohio State in round 2, you're telling me Duck fans wouldn't have taken that deal if I offered it to them today? You're damn right they would have. So now do they preemptively take that deal by laying down in conference championship games moving forward? And if that ends up being the case, is that the trigger for getting rid of them? I don't know. There's a lot up in the air here. All right. We're going to talk more about it. I got a bunch of texts coming in. Text the show, 844-326-3663. We are asking, which of the semifinal teams wins the Natty? Text Lions, Longhorns, Irish, or Buckeyes to 844-326-3663 to get your vote counted. I vote that we all listen to Lonzo do a sports flash now.
Yeah, I vote we don't, but I guess we have to. The final college football playoff semifinal spot has been claimed by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish with a 23-10 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard threw for only 90 yards and a touchdown, and Notre Dame ran for 150. But a 98-yard kick return for a touchdown separated the teams. Georgia's sophomore quarterback Gunnar Stockton threw for 234 yards and a touchdown in his first start. But Georgia had 3 critical drops, including a likely touchdown. Notre Dame will take on Penn State in the semis. The NFL Pro Bowl rosters were released yesterday, and Carolina Panthers will be represented by cornerback J.C. Horn, who makes his Pro Bowl debut. Tampa Bay sends tackle Tristan Wirfs and defensive lineman Vita Vea. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 3:30 as the Furman Paladins take on UNC Greensboro in basketball action right here on the Fan Upstate. Apologize for my hesitation in reading, but, pain. So all the swelling has gone down. It took a couple of days since I got the gel shot in my knee. And now I am having extreme pain to the point where it's caused me to have to hang onto the wall a couple of times. So hopefully the thing does what it's supposed to and makes my leg feel better. But right now it's making it feel worse. Or maybe the arthritis looked at the gel and said, get that stuff out of here. There you go, Jacob. You find your reasons for rooting if you're a football fan for whatever teams are in there if yours isn't there. Or you find reasons to not root for teams if yours isn't there. I don't root for Notre Dame because Rudy is fake. That's why. Sean Astin is a hobbit. No way that he would play football.
He would play a half size back. Hobbit. Half.
Why didn't you just go with halfback? Why? I mean, it was right there. What'd you have to go half size for? Trying to figure out, am I making old man pain sounds or just pain sounds?
Yes.
Mistimed that. By a lot. Wow. Man, I mistimed that. Or the clock's acting weird, or time space continuum or something.
Rolling on into our numero dos. The Rob Brown Show's on the radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Great to have you. I am Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, on the ones and the twos this AM. Be a part of the show. The phone line and the text line are now the same line, 844-FANFONE. If you're like me and you don't know which numbers correspond to which letters, don't worry, I'll tell you that too. 844-326-3663 is the number.
Yeah, I don't understand why that continues to be a thing. I know it's going against what we're supposed to, but I mean, when cell phones came around, I think the letters and it just doesn't.
I will say this: if I pull up the dialing screen on my phone, it still has the letters
Doesn't
on
have
there.
the letters?
Yeah.
Okay.
It still has the letters on there where you can spell them out. But yeah, I mean, it is the fan phone, 844-FANFONE.
Or do what most people do. Just program it into your phone and you never have to dial it. You just
There's the one.
You just push fan.
That's
and
it.
Will call us.
Go ahead, make us a contact and make us a favorite contact because we want you on the Armada text line. We want you on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, and they're the same number, 844-326-3663. This morning, and something we're going to start doing every day on the show, is the text poll of the day. And at some point, Lonzo and I are going to stumble onto a wonderful, fun, goofy nickname to call this. But right now, the text line poll of the day is, which of the 4 semifinal teams do you believe will be crowned the 2024-25 college football national champions? Text your answer, Lions, Irish, Buckeyes, or Longhorns, to 844-326-3663. Text your answer, Lions, Irish, Longhorns, or Buckeyes, to 844-326-3663. We will count those votes at the end of the show. And the reason we're doing this is because the software does the counting for me, so now I don't have to count votes anymore.
Well,
we will count them at 9:45 and let you know who the people believe will be the champs.
You're not just calling it the fan poll. I mean,
Because that's boring. We need a shtick.
all those. Well, I mean,
We got the Ray Memorial Hotline.
Yeah, but temporarily the fan poll works. Other than those 10 words that you said.
It's boring. It's boring. And succinct is not a word anybody's ever used to describe me. Okay? It's just not.
That's probably true.
It's very true. It's definitively true. All right. 844-326-3663. That is the call-in number and the text line. Send your answer. Which of the 4 semifinal teams do you believe wins the Natty? Lions, Irish, Buckeyes, Longhorns. Pick one. Send it to 844-326-3663 on the text line. We'll count them up at the end of the show and tell you who it is that you, the people, believe will win the crown this year. It is 7:05 in the a.m. Ladies and gentlemen, you have less than 55 minutes till you got to get to work, clock in, and be ready to go. And then the best part of the day, that first break that you take like 11 to 13 minutes into the working day, you walk down the hallway, you head over to the break room, you stand in that one little weird dark corner so the boss can't see you when he walks down the hall, and you start talking sports with your coworkers. And if you're going to do that, you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you got to know what's going on in the world of sports, ladies and gentlemen, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "You must chill!" even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your co-workers this AM. Once thou does, this is what you are going to be talking about this lovely upstate Friday morning. Let us dive right in with item number 1. The final spot in the college football playoff semifinals has been determined, and it belongs to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a 23-10 winners over the Georgia Bulldogs last night. And I'm going to keep it a buck. It was a win that, if we have to put a superlative on it, I think we would say gritty, because it damn sure wasn't pretty. Riley Leonard, 15 of 24, 90 yards through the air, 1 touchdown. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish ran for 150 yards. 80 of those yards were gathered by Riley Leonard. Jadarian Price had 37. Jeremiah Love had 19. No other Irishman had more than 9 on the day. Over on the other side, Lonzo said, yo, what if Gunnar Stockton maybe is him a little bit? And the answer is he is him a little bit, or at least it looked like he was him a little bit last night. 20 of 32, 234 yards and 1 touchdown. But I think the game comes down to the fact that the Georgia Bulldogs amassed only 62 rushing yards. Now, in fairness, they did go minus 23 rushing yards due to sacks collected against Gunnar Stockton last night. So it really would have been closer to 80, but they gave 23 back in sack yardage allowed. Look, it wasn't a pretty game. Okay, it just wasn't. You had a fumble early in the game by Trevor Etienne, the younger of the Etiennes. Trevor Etienne, the former Gator turned Bulldog, had a fumble that probably took 7, at least took 3 because they were well into field goal range, but took at least 7 off the board for the Georgia Bulldogs. You had a wide open pass on the left-hand side that woulda, coulda, shoulda been a touchdown for the Dogs. That was just dropped. There's no other way to describe it. It was just dropped. There's another set. There's 14 points right there off the board for the Georgia Bulldogs. I don't think Notre Dame was all that impressive, to be honest with you. I don't think they were that impressive at this point. I think they were good enough, and they did not make the mistakes that Georgia made. I think Georgia shot themselves in the foot. Now, I have seen a couple of people this morning. I'm not even going to push back against it because I don't necessarily think that it's wrong. But I have seen a handful of people this morning say, yo, at the end of the day, Marcus Freeman just flat out coached Kirby Smart. And I do think that there were some moments for sure where Marcus Freeman had Kirby Smart kind of on the ropes a little bit, kind of slow to respond to some of the changes that Marcus Freeman was making. But I also think that, this is one of those spots that while you guys know I'm almost always going to defend players before coaches, I'm going to defend Kirby Smart here. Kirby Smart can't do anything about Trevor Etienne fumbling the ball inside the 10-yard line. Kirby Smart can't do anything when his wide. Now, you can say maybe he didn't coach up the wide receivers good enough in the offseason. But, man, these are Division I, Power 5, blue-chip school wide receivers. Yes, I'm sorry if my expectation is catch, receive. Wide receiver, that's kind of your thing. That's kind of your job description. It literally is the name of the job. Get wide and receive. And they didn't do that last night. At least 2 first downs that resulted in punts dropped by Georgia. At least 1 touchdown dropped by Georgia, wide open, where Gunnar Stockton was putting the ball on the mark, and guys were just dropping the ball. Georgia had more drops this year than any other team in college football. I think they finished last night with, at least 41 drops on the season. That's a lot of drops for a team that played 14 games. 14 games. You're talking about nearly 5 drops per game. Yeah, that'll lose you football games for sure. Either way, Notre Dame is in. They will take on Penn State in the semifinals. Ohio State and Texas will do battle in the other semifinal. The winners of those 2 games will meet up on January 20th in the national championship game. Let's go to item number 2. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark. I don't know where I got Jim from.
It's his brother. I mean,
Yeah.
Sometimes
Shut
he
up,
likes to
Jim.
take the limelight. Yeah.
Brett Yormark is calling for more consistency in determining what constitutes a targeting penalty after no call was made on Texas safety Michael Taft's high hit on Arizona State wide receiver Melquan Stovall late in the college football playoff quarterfinal. Taft struck Stovall with a helmet-to-helmet hit as Stovall caught a pass near midfield with $1:15 left in regulation, and the game tied on Wednesday night. No flag was thrown. Referee Larry Smith of the Big Ten halted play to check the replay for possible targeting as Stovall was being helped off the field. Smith announced there was no penalty. Had a 15-yard penalty been called, Arizona State would have been in range to attempt a tie-breaking field goal. Instead, the Sun Devils punted. Texas would drive down the field. They also missed a game-winning field goal as Brett Auburn hit the doink, and it sent the game to overtime. Texas would win in the double OT period. Yormark said in a statement yesterday that he was proud of how Arizona State represented the Big 12 and that the Sun Devils proved they were one of the most talented teams in the nation. He went on to say that, quote, as a member of the College Football Playoff Management Committee, I have had multiple discussions seeking clarity surrounding the targeting call on Arizona State's final drive of the fourth quarter with Richard Clark. Moving forward, we need to address CFP officiating to ensure national standards are developed. These standards will be crucial to the CFP's future, and I look forward to discussing them with my fellow committee members when we meet next. We have talked about this targeting a little bit. We got into it very briefly yesterday, and my stance is this. I can see why they didn't call it a targeting. Honestly, I can see why they didn't call it a targeting. I don't think that there was, and this is, I'm going to say this. Lonzo and I have made the jokes before that frequently he, myself, and Captain America Chris Evans down the hall will find ourselves having a discussion in the Fortress of Nerditude over on the other side of the hallway.
We definitely don't want to talk about the one from yesterday.
No, we don't. But we'll talk about some of them. Chris and I specifically are really big into semantics, the meaning of words, right? What words are, what they mean in the context in which they are utilized, because I really do think like a huge chunk of the problems of humanity come from the fact that people don't always say what they mean or mean what they say. And one of the things that I think is big here is the concept of a player, A, lowering the helmet, and B, launching into contact. I don't think that Taft launched into the contact. I think he was running through a tackle. I think there is a difference between propelling yourself like a spear.
You launched for sure. There's no way that you can brace yourself to go forward. That's still launching.
No, see, I think he was running through contact. And to me, there is a difference between maintaining momentum through contact and loading up and launching it. I did not see a load up, and I think a launch requires a load up.
Once you lower your helmet and turn it into a weapon, you are launching.
See, that's first off, no. Launching comes from the legs. It has nothing to do with your head. I can launch with my head up, my head down, my head sideways, looking at the stars, looking at the grass. I can launch with my head in any direction because launch is in the legs and hips. And this is why I'm saying I think this is a situation where you're kind of going to have some subjectivity to all of this because the words in the rule are going to be debated. I don't think he launched. I think launch comes from the legs.
From what I've seen, the majority of the people believe.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So you are
I'm in the minority.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like
a vast minority.
Singular.
Yeah. No, not singular.
As far as I know, singular.
There's a handful of people out there, but I did not see a launch. I saw maintained momentum through the tackle. And now the debate becomes, did he lower his head to the status that we would call it targeting? And that's the thing. That's a hard argument to make because you got to say, okay, what's the angle at which a head can be where we say it's lowered versus it's a guy that's accepting contact? These are important distinctions, right? And so I think that I'm not even saying I agree wholeheartedly with it or not. I'm saying I can understand why. Because how many times in sports, and I do disagree with this philosophy so that we're clear, but how many times in sports have we seen in the bottom of the ninth or late fourth quarter or late third period or whatever, a referee come in and make a call and people start screaming, you have got to let the players determine the game, not the whistles. Now, I don't agree with that philosophy. If it's a foul in the first quarter, it's a foul in the fourth. If it's a foul on the opening drive, it's a foul on the closing drive. But I do think that over the years, we have, to some degree, trained referees that if a call is close, with the game on the line late in it, you let the players determine the outcome, not the whistle. And I think that might have been what happened here. They looked at it and they said, it is close enough to us that we don't want to affect. Because if that's a 15-yard, I'm not saying Arizona State wins that game, but their probability of winning that game goes to like 90% because they're going to end up with a mid-range, at the worst, mid-range field goal. And they still had another couple of minutes to push that thing further into Texas territory. And with Cam Scatterbo, they're doing that. So I think they probably looked at that and said, it is a close enough call that we don't want to just hand Arizona State the win. And people got real mad about it. My question is, would there be the same level of discourse about the call if that wasn't Texas? If that wasn't an SEC team? If it was flipped? If it was Texas driving and Arizona State had the hit, would people still be upset about it or would it be good? All right, very quickly, let's get in here to item number 3. I don't know if this is anything that anybody else is interested in, but I was, because I stayed up late last night to watch the 76ers and the Warriors play basketball. Why? Because Steph Curry is still him. 11-15, 8 of 8, a perfect night from behind the arc, 30 points. He was plus 32 in the plus-minus category last night with a 32-point night. Also handed out 10 dimes and had 6 boards as well. Y'all, Steph Curry's still a dog. 8 of 8. He is now committed last night to coming out in the next game. He wants to go for the record of most consecutive made threes without a miss. And if anybody in the NBA's got that run at him, it's the cat who was a flamethrower last night.
And all 7 people who will watch it will be excited.
7 people watching the most popular player in the NBA? 7 people?
Did you not report on the ratings? I do recall on this program.
Yeah, they're averaging more than 7 people.
Now, no one's watching?
They are watching. And oh, by the way, I will say this, because you're correct, I did. You know the ratings are growing up when football's over. We know what this country is. We know what this country loves. When football's over, the ratings go back up. That's just how it's going to work. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. We got plenty more we need to get into as we roll through the 7 o'clock hour of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I am going to attempt to rise.
I wish you the best, pal.
Or I could just move around in my chair.
Give me 30 seconds, guys. We'll be right back. So I am a sucker every now and then to go back and look through my Facebook memories just to see how cringe I used to be back in the day. And 12 years ago, I put up this status, food for thought. That 70s show began airing in 1998 and was set in 1976. If they made a show today with the same difference in time, it would be set in 1991 and called That 90s Show. So congratulations on getting old, friends. That was 12 years ago. So you add 12 years to 1991. That brings you to 2004. If they made a That 70s Show today, it would start the year after I got out of high school. That hurts my feelings.
Pretty sure they made it that 90s.
They did make it That 90s Show. And it had some of the cast of That 70s Show, but not the good ones.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real damn good. Corey LaJoy, welcome back to Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, with you here on the show. Wanted to get to this story real quick because I know that it is something that many of you are going to have feelings about, and that's what Sports Talk Radio is all about, feelings. Am I right? Phil punter Brady Hodges said he opted out of Phil's appearance in the Sun Bowl this week because the Cardinals' NIL collective did not pay money promised to him back in September. Hodges posted on social media during Tuesday's game against Washington in El Paso, Texas, that he had not been with the team since December 10th. Hodges wrote on social media, quote, I graduated on December 13th and had every intention on being with the team had they held up their end of the deal, end quote. Hodges did not disclose how much money he is owed by the collective. Dan Furman, president of the 502 Circle, the official NIL collective of the Cardinals, did not respond to an emailed request for comment. Hodges was Louisville's primary punter and holder for 2 seasons. Redshirt freshman Carter Schwartz took over those duties in the Cardinals' 35-34 Sun Bowl win. Schwartz averaged 43.7 yards on 6 punts with 2 down at the Washington 3-yard line and another at the Husky 16. Matthew Sluka, starting quarterback for the UNLV football team, left the Rebels after 3 games in September because he was never paid a $100,000 NIL deal. Former Florida quarterback signee Jaden Rashada, now playing at Georgia, sued Gators coach Billy Napier last year over an unpaid $13 million NIL deal, and several Tulsa players claim they were never paid thousands in NIL commitments made by former coach Kevin Wilson. So Hodges is not the first player to decide to bail on his team over what he alleges are unpaid NIL deals.
It's breach of contract. You're getting paid to play. You are not. They're not paying you, so you don't play. I mean, it's like not getting a paycheck at work and going, okay, I'm not working anymore till you give me my paycheck.
So once again, you are making up your own reality here. That's not what this money is for.
I am not. I am. This is the reality of everyone except for, it seems to be you.
No.
They are paid to play. They have been paid to play since NIL started. And who cares? Good for them. They're getting the money. But if they ain't getting paid to play, they're not playing. I don't have a problem with this guy doing this because it's a breach of contract. They paid him to play. They stopped paying him, so he stopped playing.
So, once again, words matter.
Right.
They are not paid to play.
They are.
They are paid for their name, image, and likeness. They are not paid by the school. The school is the one they are playing for. If the school paid them, then yes, you can say they're paid to play.
Do schools have collectives?
The schools and collectives are not the same entity. They are different entities.
Do the schools have collectives?
Technically, no. The collectives do not operate under the authority of the school or under the umbrella of the athletic department. They are separate entities. Now, they may work and do work in just about every case hand in hand with the school, but they are not the same entity, right? This is like saying, when I come on here and I say, hey, go to the official lunchtime destination of the Rob Brown Show, Three Friends Bar and Grill. Do I work for Three Friends Bar and Grill? No. Do I work hand in hand with them because we have a partnership? Absolutely, right? I don't work for them. They don't pay me. They pay me for name, image, and likeness. They pay me for me, Rob Brown, to say Three Friends Bar and Grill is the official lunchtime destination of the Rob Brown Show. Because it is, go there. Trust me, it's delicious. But I don't work for them, just like the collectives do not work for the schools. Words matter and the situation matters. But I will say this. You said a word that I think is the key, the crux of this conversation, and that is contract. I think you're going to get to a point where the contracts start to matter. There was a really interesting development with the Cheez-Its Bowl, South Carolina v. Illinois. I don't know how many of you followed this. If you didn't see it, the Cheez-Its Bowl signed an NIL deal with Lenora Sellers and the quarterback from the Illini. Signed an NIL deal. The Cheez-Its Bowl itself signed an NIL deal with both quarterbacks. Why do you think they did that? To make sure the two guys that everybody was going to tune in to see played. That game is a hell of a lot less interesting if one or both of the two starting quarterbacks decide to opt out of that bowl game. So the Cheez-Its Bowl said, yo, we'll toss you a couple of G's. And I'm sure it's going to, if and when we find out the deets of the contracts, I'm sure it's going to be like 6 figures each when it's all said and done. But the two quarterbacks both cut NIL deals with the bowl. Why? So that they would not opt out, so that they would play and make the game more interesting. And they did, and it worked. And I would make the argument the Cheez-Its Bowl was the most interesting, entertaining bowl game that's not a playoff game, right? Like, is there another non-playoff game in the bowls that's been more entertaining than the Cheez-Its Bowl? I would say no. I would say there hasn't been. So I think the plan worked. But I will say when it comes to stuff like this, we are going to get to a point. I had this conversation on BetMGM tonight with Hayden S. Mario and Brandon. We're going to get to a point where these NIL deals are going to have to be negotiated by labor attorneys, and they are going to become legally binding contractual agreements. Here's the problem. The problem is you can have players just start saying, hey, look, here's the deal. I'll sign this NIL deal, but the NIL deal will not extend to a bowl game. Honestly, that's what I would do if I was a player. I'd say I'll sign an NIL deal, but the NIL deal does not come into play if A, I have an injury, or B, a bowl game. Because, people getting on Cam Ward. I jumped on the text line this morning, and there was a text that came in to Wire last night. Let me go find it. Here it is. Texter said, Cam Ward broke the touchdown record and quit after. If I was an NFL person, he would not be drafted by my team. He's a cancer. Well, I'm going to tell you right now. First off, NFL teams don't care about non-playoff bowl games. They don't care. I have talked to them. When I go cover games, I sit next to them. At the ACC title game, I quite literally was in a conversation with the scouting team from the Pittsburgh Steelers who were next to me. And I was talking to them about who they were there to see and yada, yada, yada. And I didn't get into this conversation with them, but I've gotten in years gone by when I've covered conference championships and bowl games and yada, yada, yada. I've had the conversation with scouts before. What do you look at in these non-playoff bowl games or non-playoff games? And the answer was, we have our mind made up about a guy before we get there. This is why players opt out. You know why Jalen Milroe played for Alabama in the, ReliaQuest Car Bowl or whatever it was against Michigan? You know why he played? To raise his draft stock. Because they kind of feel the way about players in these non-playoff bowl games, the way that the conference committee said they care about teams on conference championship weekend. If you play in them, you can raise your stock, but if you don't play in them, you can't lower it, right? Like, we don't have the data point. But yada, yada, yada. If I'm a guy like a Cam Ward who's expecting to be drafted inside the top 10 in the NFL draft, which means I'm looking at millions, if not tens of millions of dollars in the NFL draft, I don't particularly care if a texter to the fan upstate says, I wouldn't draft him. Okay, I don't care. You know why? Because you're not the one that's drafting me. And if you're not the one that's drafting me, I'm not really worried about your opinion. I'll wipe my tears with $100 bills when I get to the league. And I'll light them on fire because I'll have a lot more of them than you do. All right? I don't care. But when I look at situations like this one, I'm going to start with this. If what Hodges is saying is true, and that he cut a deal with the collective for X amount of dollars, and the collective did not come through with that money, then why are any of you mad? As Lonzo just pointed out a second ago, if you shake hands with an employer to go do a job, and then they don't pay you, are you going to keep working? And if you find out that someone you know isn't getting paid by that employer and they go somewhere else, are you going to go, oh, you're selfish, you're a cancer? No, you're going to go, of course you didn't play if they didn't pay you. So why are we doing it differently here? If they made him a deal and they didn't honor it, who the hell cares if he doesn't play in a meaningless game? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Jacob said, is it true that some Georgia players opted out of the game yesterday? A guy was saying that to me yesterday, but I fact-checked my sources. I don't know of anybody that opted out, Jacob. If there were, then, I mean, maybe like some backups opted out, but I don't know of anybody that opted out. That's not to say a no, but I don't know that anybody backed out. So we'll see. At 26, this realization for a VAT 2000 show is not helping, Rob. Will, I turned 40 in a month and a half, bud. Oh, I'm sorry. Are your feelings hurt? I turned 40. I have hair growing out of my earlobes. That's how old I am. It's a good thing I got married because I'm done. I'm done. Let's see here. Will said, are either of you planning on attending opening day for the Spartan Burgers? Look forward to seeing the new team, new stadium, and the turnout. Yeah, Will, 100%. I will be there for opening day. I will probably cover that event. I will probably be up in the media room for it. Actually, that's not true. Honestly, for that game, I probably won't go media room. For that room, I'll probably go, for that game, I'll probably go out in the stands. Baseball is the best, dude. I love being at a baseball game. But yes, I'm very excited about the Spartan Burgers for sure, especially the fact that they are going to have a rivalry with the Drive. I think that's spectacular for the whole area.
I don't remember how to turn my Facebook notifications off. It's me that's dinging.
Aha.
And I can't figure out how to turn it off. Do you remember how to do that?
Nope.
It's been so long. I mean, I'm on the screen, the notification settings screen.
Oh, it's beeping on your computer?
Yes.
Mute the page. Go up to the tab at the
I
top.
can't do that.
Why?
It's a different computer. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I can't play sound.
Mm-mm. You can mute just the web page. If you go hover the tab where it says Facebook up top and right click it, and then click mute site halfway down. Right there. Now that page will not play any sounds.
Okay. So if I wanted to play audio from a video on there, I would have to
Facebook. If you want to do that, you'll have to unmute it.
Okay,
But
that's what I'm.
for now.
Okay.
it won't play those notifications.
All right, cool. Don't be gone too long.
That's the little trick I learned to stop the autoplay videos on ESPN from going on the air all the time. The new text line is up and running. The new text line has the same number as the call-in line, 844-326-3663. Save the Fan Upstate as a contact in your phone book and text the show, 844-326-3663. One of the new things we'll be doing every day on the show now is a daily text poll that you can text in your vote. We're starting simple. We're starting easy on the first one. Which of the 4 semifinal teams do you think is most likely to win the national championship? Here is how you vote. You text the word Buckeyes, Irish, Longhorns, or Lions to 844-326-3663. Text the word Buckeyes, Irish, Longhorns, or Lions to 844-326-3663. At the end of the show, we will tabulate your votes and tell you who the people's choice is for the day, and I will make that announcement on the Fan Upstate's Twitter and Facebook pages. Text Buckeyes, Irish, Longhorns, or Lions to 844-326-3663. As of right now, great one, 78% of our texting base is saying Buckeyes. Yours, Ohio State University Buckeyes, are running away with this poll early. If you think you want to either add to that total or sway the vote, shoot us a text. And if you'd like to, start your text with Buckeyes, Irish, Longhorns, or Lions, and then you can add your reasoning on behind it. But start your text with Lions, Longhorns, Buckeyes, or Irish, 844-326-3663, and we'll tell you the people's choice at the end of the show. Texter said Gamecocks. Oh, wait. Okay, that's fun. That's fun. Not one of the keywords. It won't trigger a vote, but I like the enthusiasm. Texter said, Rob, what are the chances that Carolina could draft Cam Skattebo? I would be kind of hyped if they did.
I don't know. Are you sold on him in the NFL?
Oh, yeah. I am.
I know he's being compared to Christian McCaffrey.
I got a better comp for you.
He was worn out in that game.
He ran the ball 30 times.
Yeah.
He had 99 receiving yards, 204 rushing yards. I was winded watching him.
So you're saying that a normal NFL running back doesn't run for 30 times?
I'm saying no. Find me one that has more than once this year. Like Derrick Henry, I don't think has touched 30 yards, and he's the workhorse of the NFL. I don't think he's had 30 carries in a game. I would bet you that there are less than 5 NFL running backs who have got 30 carries in any game this year. I might be wrong, but I don't think you're going to find 5 running backs that have carried the ball 30 times. I think the highest guys are like 27, 28 with any regularity. I don't think anybody's getting to 30 more than a time or two in a single game. I think there may be a few, but not many. But it's not just that many carries and 204 rushing yards. It's also where he's carrying the ball. It's the fact that he was converting 2-point conversions, running and carrying multiple defenders with him. It's that he also had 99 receiving yards in this game. That man went for 300 plus all-purpose yards in that game. Yeah, hell yeah, he was winded. I'll tell you who I think he comps to. Taysom Hill. I think he's more Taysom Hill than he is Christian McCaffrey.
He can throw the ball.
Yeah.
We saw that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I'm utilizing as an occasional quarterback. I'll tell you what, I'll absolutely wildcat him. Are you kidding me? I'm putting number 4 back there in the wildcat. I'm going, look, he's keeping the ball. We're going to put a couple of fullbacks and a tight end to the strong side, and we're just going to power rush him right at you. Good luck. I think Cam Scatterboo is a good running back at the NFL. I think he's a rarely used running back, but I think for what he can be, which is kind of a gadget play kind of guy, I think absolutely I'd be interested in that if I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. Now, number 1, we got to find out where the Panthers are drafting. Do they win against Atlanta? Dave Canales said, we're going to win this game. Well, not we're going to win, but we're going to go try to win this game. We're going to bring the guys that are healthy starters. We are going to throw them out there. And if they beat Atlanta, that cost them draft picks. Are they willing to do that? I don't know. We'll find out. It kind of strikes me as, I've said this before, coaches and players won't tank, but organizations will. GMs will make moves to try to hurt their team's ability to win. Like right now, I gave out this bet last night as one of my favorite bets for the NFL weekend. I got a 3-team moneyline parlay going. Buffalo to beat New England, Denver to beat Kansas City, and Tampa Bay to beat New Orleans. Because New Orleans is not going to take themselves out of a top 10 draft pick to beat Tampa Bay in a meaningless game. Kansas City's rolling out the backups. And oh, by the way, if Kansas City loses this game, the Cincinnati Bengals don't go to the playoffs. I'd rather have Denver in than Cincinnati.
I want to see Kansas City's C team beat Denver.
Well, I know you do, because that's a bleep Denver mentality, and I respect
absolutely
that.
It is.
Listen, I want to see New Orleans beat Tampa and take that. Of course, I still want Tampa to win the NFC South because I'd rather Tampa win it than Atlanta win it. But I still would rather beat Tampa. That being said, if you take the fan cap off and put on the long-term cap, I'd rather have the Saints have a top 10 draft pick than a meaningless win over Tampa in Week 18 that does nothing for a team that's got a bunch of guys that are retiring or leaving at the end of the year, right? Like, I don't care. So, Denver to beat Kansas City because Kansas City hurts themselves if they win. Buffalo to beat New England because New England loses the number 1 draft overall pick if they win. And Tampa Bay to beat New Orleans because New Orleans takes themselves out of a top 10 draft pick if they win a meaningless game. So I'm going with those 3 money line teams. And by the way, it only goes to plus 125. If you take all 3 to win outright, it's only a plus 125 bet. That's how long the odds are. But blah, 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 put all that aside for a minute. We got to see what Carolina does because I am interested in seeing where they're going to draft and if that's the right pick. You got to keep in mind, you still got Miles Sanders on this team. He's on the IR. You still got Sanders. You got Chuba Hubbard. You got Blackshear. Now, I think you can cut ties with Blackshear. He's a nice little scat back, change of pace, but he's not a team-changing back. In fact, if anything, I feel like I could plug Cam Scatterboo into that place and be in a good spot. The other question is, do you need to take Scatterboo in a top 32 pick? Running backs don't get drafted early. They don't. Your first running back's coming off the board probably at like 12, 13.
Yeah, but every once in a while, there's a guy who stands out above everybody else, and teams believe he's
but is that
once
Cam
in a
Scatterboo?
lifetime. Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he is. So if the Panthers drafted, let's say, somewhere in the top 10,
they will.
They probably will, and they picked him, how many people would be mad?
I can't think of many, right? I got to think Panther fans. I don't know. I would be. I got to think
they need a lot of help everywhere.
For sure. I'm not arguing with that. I think they
so.
Absolutely do.
If you draft him, you're saying Chuba Hubbard was a failed experiment.
No, I think Miles Sanders is the failed experiment.
Well,
I think
for
Chuba
sure.
Hubbard's been a revelation the second half of this
exactly.
season.
So I mean,
Chuba goes down. Look what happens. Chuba goes down. They get their asses kicked the next week,
which is why I don't think that they'll go for him.
See,
there's other places that they really need help. So
okay, here's what I'll give you. You can have Sanders and Hubbard, or you can have Scatterboo and Hubbard. Which one of those 2 are you taking? Because I'm taking Scatterboo and Hubbard.
Oh,
without a doubt. Like, not even thinking about it. That's an easy pick for me.
I guess
That's a
we
layup
haven't,
for me.
but we haven't seen the guy running in the NFL yet.
That also correct. Also correct. All right. So we'll see how that shapes up. The answer to me, Texter, is, can I see it happening? Yeah. Do I think it's likely? Probably not. Because I think the Panthers are drafting well above the spot where Cam Scatterboo is coming off the board. And I don't think you push back for him. Now, unless you think he is the best thing to help your team, but as Lonzo pointed out, there's so many places you need help that I don't know that I'm getting a running back, because you would trade back for that. And even though it would allow you to pick up a lot of spots, a lot of other draft picks down the line, you're missing out on some of the best players in the draft.
The Will on the stream mentioned Genty. Is Scatterboo, why would he be the second running back picked?
I think he will be, honestly. I think he will be. I think if
why would Carolina go for him? And because Genty will be gone? That would be two running backs in the top 10, and that's probably not going to happen.
Here is where NFLDraftBuzz.com, which is a website that I regularly use, they have the rankings this way: Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton out of Carolina, Caleb Johnson from Iowa, Dylan Sampson from I forgot about Dylan Sampson. That dude might be a guy too. Good change of pace back. Big home run swinger right there. Jordan James from Oregon, Travion Henderson from Ohio State, Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State, Devin Neal from Kansas, Nick Singleton from Penn State, Brashard Smith from SMU, Khalil Mullings from Michigan. They have Cam Scatterboo 12th. I don't agree with that.
See, I thought Judkins was coming back, but
these are their draft profiles. It doesn't mean that they are all opting into the draft.
By the way, I just said something with my mic off. I'm self-reporting. It is now tied 1-1.
Nice. 1-1, and I worked 2 more days than you did this week. So technically I'm winning now. I think that's how the rules work.
No, that's not how that works.
Let's see. Texture said Irish. Texture said Buckeyes. They are getting hot at the right time and beating other teams. Also, everyone expected a close game, but they proved everyone wrong so far. I'm one of those people. I took Oregon and the 2.5 points. Actually, I took Oregon and teased it to 3, but took Oregon to win that game. I've already said it. I said it last night. I said it last night on national radio. All right. So this isn't a thing that I'm not willing to take national, because I did last night. I think Ohio State's winning the national championship. I think Ohio State is clearly the best team in the playoffs. Because, and before anybody goes, wait a minute, Rob, Penn State has also won 2 games, and Penn State has also won 2 games convincingly. Yes, that is true. Penn State has also won 2 games convincingly against, I think, in both rounds, the team that everybody thought was the weakest opponent in that round. Was there a team in round 1 that people thought was worse than SMU? What was least deserving to be there, less deserving of being there than SMU? I don't think there was.
Some people might have said Indiana.
I mean, maybe, but I think most people would have said SMU, a team that checked in second in the ACC. I think a lot of people would have said SMU, but either way, they're no worse, or they're no better than the second to last best team in round 1. Round 2, was there a team in the second round that you could have played that was less intimidating than Boise State? No, there wasn't. That was the team that everybody was looking at in that spot as the team you'd most want to play in round number 2. So I would argue that, and you can take this however you want to take it, I would argue that Penn State had the easiest path to the semifinals of any of the 4 teams that made it here. I would argue, honestly, Ohio State had the toughest path to the semifinals. I think they had the best visiting team in round 1 in Tennessee, and they had the best team, and I'm gonna air quote this. I think they had the best team in the tournament in round 2, and they kicked the dog snot out of both of them. They beat the hell out of both of them. I think Ohio State had the toughest route to the semifinals, and they dog walked them twice. Right now, Ohio State looks like the best team in this tournament, not particularly close.
I'm still a little nervous, though.
Why?
I mean, I don't know.
Just because that's football?
Yeah, because that's
the answer.
I mean, just because things are supposed to be doesn't mean they will be.
That's the answer.
And how they played the last 2 weeks, will they have that same fire coming in against Texas? I don't know.
That's very
Maybe
fair.
Chip Kelly goes, you know what? That Michigan plan really worked well. Let's see if it works against Texas.
By the way,
I mean,
can we talk about Chip Kelly? Does Chip Kelly deserve some flowers? Not an apology, because I do believe Chip Kelly screwed you in the Michigan game. And we talked about this because Mario asked me last night on BetMGM Tonight when I was filling in. He said we got into the conversation about, Ohio. If you're Ohio State, who makes you the most nervous out of the teams that are left standing? My answer was Notre Dame. Like, I'm not afraid of James Franklin because we beat James Franklin's ass every time we've played him. My answer was Notre Dame. So if my answer is Notre Dame there, Brandon, who's a Notre Dame fan, he said, how do you trust Will Howard over Riley Leonard? And my answer was, how do you not trust Will Howard right now? How do you not trust Will Howard? The man's had 2 games in the playoffs, and he's been good, not passable, good in these 2 games.
He had 1 bad game. That was against Michigan.
And wait a minute.
And he made a mistake in Oregon. It wasn't a bad game for him.
Here's where I'm going with that. He had a bad game against Michigan. Here's the thing. I think Chip Kelly backed him into a corner against Michigan.
So do I, for sure.
I don't think Will Howard had a bad game. I think Chip Kelly screwed the Buckeyes with his play calling in that game, didn't trust Will Howard to make plays. Michigan said, we're going to tee off on your running backs, and we're going to make Will Howard beat us. And Chip Kelly said, we're still going to run the ball. We're not – and by the way, not run the ball with, stuff to get away from the interior. We're going to run the ball into the teeth of where you're attacking us every play. I think Chip Kelly screwed the Buckeyes in that game. You turn around in the college football playoffs, Chip Kelly turns Will Howard loose, and my dude's turning in 253 touchdowns.
Yeah, they're winning through the air.
Yeah.
For sure. And if they would have did that against Michigan,
they'd have beat him by 40.
They would have.
I agree. I think Chip Kelly was the reason. And by the way, and again, he's in charge of all of it. But at this point, I got to tell you, all the Buckeye fans that started going after Ryan Day after the Michigan loss, I'm like, you better be on Chip Kelly because it's kind of on him. Ryan Day has given Chip Kelly full autonomy to call the plays. That's the guy you need to dog.
How do we know? And it hasn't been speculated that I'm aware of. How do we know that Ryan Day after Michigan didn't say, you know what, I'm getting back into the offensive side and going to help call the plays?
I mean, maybe, but
because he was like an offensive genius before he brought him in.
Here's why. Because the offense that I've seen the last 2 weeks out of Ohio State is very UCLA when Chip Kelly was in charge there. That's why.
Is it more Oregon-like when he was in charge of Oregon?
Fair too. It's very –
because in Oregon, he had weapons.
Yep.
Now he
opened them up.
Now he has real weapons.
Yeah. And now he has them, and he's discovered them. That's the thing.
Wow, look.
Yeah.
Look, I got
oh, you mean
receivers out there that
you mean if I got a 6'9" receiver that can jump over the top of the Rose Bowl, I should throw it to him? Shocking.
Yeah,
I know.
But he's a freshman. Freshmen don't play really well.
He's a damn stud is what he is. You want to beat Jeremiah Smith, you recruit Optimus Prime and put him in a helmet. I don't know what else to do to stop that guy. Another one of the reasons I'm picking the Buckeyes. All right, who is the semifinal team that you think is going to win the national championship? Text Buckeyes, Longhorns, Irish, or Lions to 844-326-3663. Text the name of your team, Buckeyes, Lions, Irish, Longhorns, to 844-326-3663. We will tabulate those votes at the end of the show and let you know who the people's champion is. Right now, the Buckeyes are running away with it. And before we go to break, I want to remind you all that on the new text line, you don't have to start your text with fan anymore. We finally have earned our own dedicated text line. You don't have to put fan on the beginning anymore.
It took about,
4.5 years.
It took about 10 or 11 years.
Okay, for me, it took 4.5 years.
Yeah. So the station's been around since before you got here.
844-326-3663. You did not have to text fan anymore. Text us. Start your text with Lions, Buckeyes, Longhorns, or Irish. Tell us who you think is winning the Natty. We'll tell you who the people's champ is at the end. The people's champ is Lonzo.
Also been here since the beginning. Alpha baby.
You never got your own text line, though.
The final college football playoff semifinal spot has been claimed by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. With a 23-10 win over the Georgia Bulldogs, Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard threw for only 90 yards and a touchdown, and Notre Dame ran for 150. But a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown separated the teams. Georgia's sophomore quarterback Gunnar Stockton, as I told you, threw for 234 yards and a touchdown in his first start. But Georgia had 3 critical drops, including a likely touchdown. Notre Dame will take on Penn State in the semis. We will see how that goes. Tune in this Saturday, which would be tomorrow, in case you didn't know, at 3:30 as Furman Paladins take on the UNC Greensboro Spartans. It's Furman versus UNC Greensboro. It's hard to say. Right here on your home for Furman basketball. It's us. It is the Fan Upstate. With many still on holiday, I am on holiday. Not anymore. That's a good point, Will. Should I fix it or should I point out to Rob that it's wrong? Will on the stream has pointed out that the ticker on the bottom is wrong.
Oh, that's right. I got to change that. Good call. Good call, Will. Man's on the ball.
And see, the reason why I told him is because he gets to fix it and he's excited about fixing it because now he doesn't have to say fan anymore and all that stuff. By the way, I just want you to know, since the beginning, the dawn of this station has been begged for. It's been asked for us to have our own dedicated line. They just said nay. I don't think we've changed provider. I think maybe it's just technology has gotten to the level where they could actually do that. You know, like how you could text someone else's phone, you know, with your phone to their phone number. Suddenly someone realized, hey, wonder if we can do that on the text line. Except they have like, I think, Pennsylvania accents, whatever that is. Do we have a guest today?
Rashad Theoretic. Let me check with him because I haven't heard from him. The Rob Brown Show is on the radio. It is Friday, my dudes and my dudettes. Welcome back. Rob Brown, the great one, Alonzo, with you here on the show. If you want to be a part of it, easy to do so. 844-326-3663. 844-322-6343. That is the number to call in and be on the show. That is the number to text us. You don't have to start your text with a keyword fan anymore. You just text 844-326-3663 and say what you want to say. Today on the show, we are asking you the question, which of the 4 semifinal teams do you believe will win the college football national championship? Text Lions, Buckeyes, Lions, Buckeyes, Irish, or Longhorns to 844-326-3663. Text the name of the team, Lions, Buckeyes, Irish, or Longhorns to 844-326-3663. We are tabulating your votes as they come in. I will tell you as of right now that the Buckeyes are running away with this thing. Of the text line votes so far, 69% of the votes are for the Buckeyes, 31% for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Texas and Penn State have got a combined 0 votes. If I had a dime for every vote for Texas and Penn State, I would have 0 dimes. Been a minute since we had some Enzo Amore on the show. That's a throwback wrestling reference for the hardcores out there.
I thought you were going to break the chair there. That thing it's barely hanging on.
It really is. I'm starting to get progressively more nervous show by show.
As part of my duties every morning when I have to set things just perfectly for Rob and I move his chair over exactly at that moment.
Well, if other people would stop moving the chair, you wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, well, I just I felt how flimsy it's getting. What are you going to do if that chair breaks?
Eat crap onto the floor.
I mean, what if it breaks and you're not in it? Well,
that
of course
would be better.
You're gonna blame somebody else for breaking it because obviously if you didn't break it, someone else did.
It's my chair. I'm the only one who sits in it. If it breaks, it's because I'm fat. What do you want? It is what it is. All right. It is what it is.
The makeup of the chair.
All right. Here's my favorite thing that's happened on Twitter. Lane Kiffin and his Ole Miss Running Rebels last night were playing Duke in the whatever it was bowl. Gator Bowl, I think. I think it was a Gator Bowl.
Wow, way to go, journalist.
17.5-point favorites were the Ole Miss Running Rebels in this one. On Twitter, a guy by the name by Cold Call Sniper sent Lane Kiffin a tweet and said, let's make a bet, Lane Kiffin. If you guys don't cover 17.5 today, I get to take your daughter on a date to my local Chili's. Lane Kiffin responded with, she isn't a Chili's girl. The tweeter responded back to Lane Kiffin, fine, I'll settle for you and me go there and talk transfer portal talent over some beers. Then his daughter replied, he isn't a beer guy. The whole Kiffin family is in on the Twitter trolling, and I'm here for it. I absolutely love it. Absolutely adore it.
Is his daughter pretty or something? I mean, I don't.
I mean, she's not.
Okay.
All right, she's not.
What is she, like 12? I mean, how old is his daughter?
No, she's in college now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This conversation just got weird unintentionally. It just got weird. All right.
Well, I don't think of Lane Kiffin as being old.
Here's a change in conversation. Some guy just posted that he found a Brock Lesnar Vikings jersey in a thrift store. That's pretty solid. I'd have bought that on the spot, right? On the spot.
Was it signed? I mean, that makes it even better.
It's not.
Okay.
You know what number Brock Lesnar wore for the Minnesota Vikings?
I don't remember because he never. I got to find something equally as bad to play for you, and I don't have anything.
I got him.
So good. So good. All right, we got a lot more.
Yeah, stop it.
We got a lot more to talk about on the radio show. A couple of texts that have come in so far on the text line, 844-326-3663. Again, text me who you believe wins the college football national championship out of the 4 teams that have made it to the college football semifinal. By the way, the 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds, no bottom seed team but no team that got a first round bye made it to the semifinals. All 4 teams that made it to the semis played in the first round, which I find somewhat interesting, mainly because, and I asked the question earlier in the show, do you think, and this, certainly if it happens again, but do you think after 1 year, if you're a team like an Oregon, which you can make the argument, Oregon got the shaft, number 1 overall team going into this bracket, they sit at home, they don't play football for 3 weeks, and then they get Ohio State in their first game back at a neutral field. If you're Oregon and I gave you the opportunity, would you not, if time traveling genie shows up, would you not have switched places with Penn State? Because to me, the answer is yes, I absolutely would have.
Outside of injuries, you got, I mean, that's the only reason why you should struggle, because you got to beat everybody to win a championship. You should want to take out, they should have wanted to play Ohio State, because once they beat them, they could look at the rest of the competition and go, yeah, we got this. Why not get the hardest game out of the way first? Didn't work out for them, but why not do that?
That's fair. That's fair. Let's see here. Texter said, hot rod, LOL. Happy Friday. The way OSU is playing, it's going to be hard to beat the Buckeyes. However, Lonzo, I personally still hate them and find it completely offensive that the college football trophy will live up north this year. That's from Spartanburg J.
Well, you're born, bred, and raised in this state that hate Ohio State. So you're just, doing what your daddy taught you. I can't say diddy because we can't use that anymore. So
that's not unfair.
Do Southern people who call their daddy diddy, do they still do that? Do they think about it when they do that?
I gotta think that's one of those things that you just did your whole life, and by the time you get to that point, you're like, you don't think about it anymore, right? I don't know.
At some point, you're gonna go, "Hey, Diddy," and someone's gonna go, "Ew."
Texas said, Buckeyes, hate to say it, hate them, but history repeats itself. Ohio State won the first year of the 14 playoff. They'll do it with the 12-team playoff and save Ryan Day's job. Must be nice. Look, I said this in the last segment.
I don't understand the hate. I really don't. I mean, other than yeah, Woody Hayes punched a Clemson guy. That's the only reason why I can figure out why Ohio State is hated so much around here.
Ask me.
Yeah.
Ask me.
What would you know?
Ask me.
I don't need to ask you. You could just say it. Hey, Rob, what do you think the reason is?
Your fans are obnoxious.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
All fan bases.
Of course, one of their fans doesn't think their fans
By the way,
are obnoxious. Georgia fans don't think Georgia fans are obnoxious.
Let's name me a fan base that are not obnoxious.
Honestly, and some of you aren't going to like this answer. You know who my favorite fan base is that I've ever interacted with? Notre Dame fans. Honestly, I've been to Notre Dame. I've been around Notre Dame games that have put across the South over the years. Notre Dame fans are great. They're great. They're fun. They're nice. They're polite. They're great. Notre Dame fans are phenomenal. Notre Dame fans, I don't want to give them any credit because they have the most annoying single thing in football. Mississippi State fans are great. I've never had a bad interaction with Mississippi State fans. They've been great.
Could probably go to the message boards from either one of those teams and find some people that you go, I changed my mind.
I'm sure. All right. Let's get into some NFL here, shall we? NFC South title going to be determined this weekend as we have an all NFC South weekend. The Carolina Panthers take on the Atlanta Falcons. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the New Orleans Saints. Here is how that division is going to shape up this weekend. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeat the New Orleans Saints, the Carolina-Atlanta game becomes irrelevant. If Tampa wins, they claim the NFC South. If the New Orleans Saints defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Atlanta beats Carolina, then by way of the tiebreaker, the Atlanta Falcons would win the NFC South. If New Orleans beats Tampa but Carolina beats Atlanta, Tampa will win the NFC South. So Tampa controls their own destiny. If they do not defeat New Orleans, then Carolina technically controls Tampa Bay's destiny as either NFC South champs or NFC South runners up. All that being said, great one. Tampa's like minus 900 to beat New Orleans this weekend. I think Tampa's winning this division. I think they're going in. The question mark is Tampa a playoff threat?
When's the last time Tampa Bay didn't win?
5 years ago. This would be their 4th consecutive division title if they get it. It dates back obviously to the GOAT days when Thomas Wayne
So-
Christopher
so
Alfred
they-
Brady III
They
was there.
didn't need that guy, whoever that guy may be, to help them win the South.
Well, they
It
got-
don't take much to win the South.
They got the next best quarterback in the NFL, Baker Mayfield, following in his footsteps. Of course, they were going to be fine.
They got a quarterback that
Baker!
actually that they love compared to the one that they had before. Yeah.
Can I tell you, by the way, and I despise that he is doing it. I despise that he's doing it for Tampa, but I'm so damn happy for Baker Mayfield. Like, I just enjoy watching Baker be Baker.
Me
He's
too.
just fun.
As far as in the playoffs now, they ain't doing anything in the playoffs.
No, I don't think so either. And I'll tell you why. Because I think that they are going to win this division. They're going to go in as the 4 seed. And do you know who they're going to catch in round 1? The loser of the Vikings and the Lions. And I think either one of those teams is coming to Tampa and putting 40 down on the Bucs. Honestly. By the way, just for the interesting aspect of this, the over-under in the Vikings-Lions game is 56.5 points. That means they believe that both of these teams is scoring in the minimum in the upper 20s. 56.5 points is the over-under of that game, and 80+% of the money is coming in on the over right now. Offensive explosion. As much as I've said, and I mean it, that I'm enjoying watching Baker be Baker, because I blame everything up to now on the Cleveland Browns and the Carolina Panthers. Aren't you kind of getting a little smile across the face for Sam Darnold too? Like, win or lose this game. And by the way, that game, Minnesota v. Detroit, that game is not just for the NFC North. That game's for the 1 seed. The game's for the bye. You understand how big the bye would be for the Detroit Lions? That team's got like 21 guys on the injured reserve and coming active over the next 2 weeks. If that team gets a bye, I think Detroit goes right back to being a betting favorite to win the NFC. They have fallen off of that spot because of the injuries. If they catch the bye and they get the extra week to get healthy, because of the fact that while they do have a passing offense, because of the fact that that team also has relied even banged up on their defense, I think Detroit goes right back to being a betting favorite to win that division if they win the NFC North and beat Minnesota this weekend. But they are only a field goal favorite in this one. I'm getting the old smiley face for Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold, between the Jets and the Panthers, I feel is the exact same guy as Baker, a guy that you go, I think he can do it. And I think he should bet on a couple of franchises that don't know how to, football good.
Yeah, I mean, look at what he had to go through with the Jets and with the Panthers. As bad as the Jets were, you thought going to the Panthers was going to be a step up for him, a better situation, and it was basically the same or worse. And then he's floated around a little bit and got the opportunity thanks to injury, and has proved himself this entire season, because he would have still been on the bench if a certain Michigan quarterback hadn't got hurt.
I don't disagree. I'm
only saying that because I can't remember the guy's name, JJ or J something.
JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
which, by the way, and I said this on the show last night, doesn't it feel like, in retrospect, doesn't it feel like JJ McCarthy as a draft pick for the Vikings was kind of a mistake? Right? Like, in retrospect, I don't think it was the case at the time. I'm not going to hold it against them. But Monday morning quarterback in this thing, doesn't it feel like drafting JJ McCarthy was a mistake, and that you would have been better off getting JJ McCarthy, getting Sam Darnold another weapon, or stocking that defense a little bit, right? Like, now you've got a rookie quarterback on the roster that you got to pay. Not a ton, but you got to pay the guy. And on the flip side, Sam Darnold's out here playing like $100 million quarterback. That's kind of interesting to me. By the way, as much as I have talked a bunch of junk about Bo Nix, I would like to clarify that I have less belief in J.J. McCarthy than I do Bo Nix. That's not to say I won't be wrong about him, too. I was very wrong about Bo Nix.
He was playing pretty well before he got hurt.
I mean, he was in spring camp before he got hurt.
Looked good in spring camp.
Look good in spring camp. We're big spring camp guys.
Look good enough to win the starting job. I thought he got hurt in the preseason or in like the first game.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure. I thought it was in the season.
That was 6 years ago. Who knows? It wasn't in the season. It was before the season started. His season was over before it started. But I don't remember if it was preseason or if it was in spring. Either way, it doesn't matter. Sam Darnold's a dog. Sam Darnold's a dog. I love this guy. Texas said, I just screamed in the car with excitement because, yes, I'm rooting for Darnold all the way. Not the Vikings, but Darnold. I respect that. I'm rooting for Baker, but not the Buccaneers, so I get it.
J.J. McCarthy got hurt in a preseason game against the Raiders.
Okay, it was preseason. I am rooting for Sam Darnold for the same reason that I am rooting for Baker Mayfield. Super likable dude that everybody wanted to poop on, and they didn't know that it was genuinely the fact that the franchises these two guys were playing for, yes, including the Panthers, were garbage at quarterback development.
I am rooting for all these guys, but eventually they're going to lose to the 3 in a row, first team to do it, Super Bowl champions. Kansas City Chiefs.
That would be a team quarterbacked by not Pro Bowler Patrick Mahomes, by the way. Disrespect.
He had a
disrespect.
A low
everything.
Yeah,
he had a low everything this year,
and maybe the fact that the offensive line was hurt a bunch and stuff, and
always an excuse. Always an excuse for this 15-1 quarterback.
Yeah, I know. He's horrible. Thank goodness he's got everyone around him to lift him up.
Oh man. All right, we got a lot more we got to talk about. We're going to keep talking some NFL when we come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show continues after this. It is the Fan Upstate.
Time to hobble.
Will, I would absolutely steal the Rise Guys chairs as they have stolen plenty from me over the years.
Well, it wasn't you. I mean, it was us.
They stole Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah,
that was personal.
By the way,
that was personal.
That was not yours. I know who got that and brought that in here.
But Ken Griffey Jr. is my guy. That was personal. I would do that, except for the Rise Guys have their own private personal studio, and it's a low desk, so they have low chairs, and I need a high chair because we have a high desk.
They don't have a personal.
Yes, they do.
That's B93s.
Sir, go look at the label on their door.
It's the Planet.
It is Rise Guys.
It doesn't. It says the Planet
Rise Guys
on the studio.
That studio is the Rise Guys studio. Go look at the door. It's the
so
Rise
you're
Guys
saying
logo.
Paige is somewhere else when she does
Paige is
her
on the Rise Guys. She's a Rise Guy.
You're missing the point. The other people who are on. So Diesel, when he does his
Diesel
stuff,
don't work out of the studio. They are the only ones that work out of that studio. That's their studio.
Okay, fine. It's
personal.
I gotta pee, and it's not. I do have time to walk down there, or hobble down there.
Oh yeah, this is our.
And I bet it says 93.3.
Okay,
Planet.
go check. I'm like 90% sure it says Rise Guys.
Are you?
I'm not over the Ken Griffey Jr. theft.
Okay.
It still is under my skin.
So I'm about to check your facts.
By the way, all those guys are friends of mine. Still under my skin.
Check your facts.
Go ahead.
Now you're like, oh, maybe it's 74.
Now I got to walk down there. Stay right there.
have all said walking stick. I want you to know that.
I mean, that's more like
you're the pimp guy, and
pimp cane.
Well, walking stick is more befitting of my present character, and it's more heavy duty and can handle what I need. Pimp cane, I'm probably going to die because I'm going to be impaled on the pimp cane when it breaks, and I fall on the cane, and the sharp end goes through my torso.
Don't have a sharp end.
No, when it breaks, there will be a. That's how
you're
that
gonna break it. Got it.
And when it breaks from the weight, yeah. Results from the stroll is that I was right, Stephen. He's not paying attention enough to defend himself.
The results of the stroll is that both of those labels are on there.
But which one was bigger?
The planet is bigger,
Thank
but
you.
they are both on there.
It's kind of like this show's the Rob Brown show with Lonzo. Mine's a real little thing in there. We all know who the star is. Same over there. The star is the station. It's not the people on it. They're stars. They are. They're really big stars. The station existed before them. So I'm just saying. Just like the station existed before Rob Brown. You know what didn't exist before? Me. Unless it's soccer, then it's a win, Steven. A tie in soccer is celebrated. So
it's not celebrated.
Hey, thank you for
it's just
noticing, James.
recognized.
I've been working on that. As much pain as I'm in, I had to walk down there just to see. Let's face it, to prove I was right, I would have crawled down there on bloody stumps. By the way, it's awesome for them that they got their logo on the thing. I mean, that's cool.
I'm going to make a Rob Brown Show sticker and slap it on our door and just see what anybody says about it.
Oh, we know who will say something. We know exactly who will say something. You get magnets. Well, that wouldn't stick on there.
Yeah.
No, there's metal. Aren't those pins metal?
I'm going to eventually make I eventually do want to make stickers and just start putting them all over town. Guerrilla marketing. Ooh, he would make a good Dr. House. That's a good call, Will. House is a great show.
I have too much of a happy disposition to be that guy. That guy is way too snarky. I would never be like that.
Okay.
Plus, he's actually British, I think. So
He is. Hugh Laurie is very British and has maybe the best Brit doing an American accent on television.
I like Cumberbatch's American accent.
Cumberbatch is good, but Hugh Laurie is like phenomenal. Who's the best American that does a British accent?
I also think Tom Holland's American accent is pretty good too.
Yeah, that's a good call. Talking some National Football League, some collegiate football here on the show, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan of State. Phone line's open, text line open, same number, 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663 is the number if you want to be a part of the show. We'd love to have you. Text us. We're asking on our text line this morning the question of the day, the fan poll of the day, the text poll of the day, whatever the hell you want to call it, until Lonzo and I stumble into the correct name for it down the line. Text us at 844-326-3663. Which of the 4 college football teams that have made the semifinal do you believe will win the national championship?
Can we not call it a Toyo poll or whatever?
A Tolo poll?
Tolo, whatever that is.
No.
Can we not call it that?
No, that's their thing. We have our own thing. Well, listen, we're both going to have our own name for the text line. in these polls, but we gotta
You
stumble into
told
what it
me
is
what
first.
Tolo meant one time, and it's
Turn on, leave on.
Okay, did
Yep.
they make that up?
I don't know is the answer. I mean,
Okay,
I'm sure
all right,
no,
all
but
right.
I don't know for. a
I'm
fact.
I'm old. It might be what the youths
That's
are.
it's what the kids say.
Yeah, well, neither one of them are kids. Well, Cole is kind of a child. Yeah, so but Diesel's older than you. So I mean, yeah,
I don't think he is.
we've had this conversation before, and yes, he's
Is he?
older than you. Yes,
Wow.
he hit that mark in 2024, I believe.
By the way, you know what the I think I said this already once, but I'll say it again because it makes me excited. You know what the wife put together and planned for the 40th birthday?
This is how you remember. This is why you're going to mention it every day, so you can remember that you need to request those days off.
That's not untrue. Mommy's taking daddy down to the NOLA, the 504, going to spend the 40th down in New Orleans, Louisiana, baby. Can't wait. Pretty excited. All right. I wanted to read this. I'm not going to tell you who put out this tweet because I don't want to give him any attention that he already doesn't have because I'm not a big fan. But I will give you the tweet because I think it's a bad take. And maybe it's just me. We'll find out. Gut check reaction to this one, Lonzo. Quote, early observation on college football playoffs. All 4 teams with byes lost. Clearly, we're rusty from layoff. As a result, we have weakest Final 4 teams in recent memory, no conference champions, and even a third-place Big Ten team instead. Playoffs will get better, but this year's theme is mediocrity. End quote. What's your response to that?
Was it Paul Feinbaum?
No,
Okay.
it was not. I would have attributed this quote to him because while I am not a fan, at least I can say this person, I think.
All right. The reason why I said that is this sounds like an SEC.
It absolutely does, but it's not. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All
it's
right.
not.
Hmm.
I will tell you who it is off the air, but I'm not going to say his name on it because I don't want to give him any unnecessary intention.
This is a loser's mentality take. When your team doesn't make it, you make up reasons why everyone else did. And that's fine. If that's the direction you want to go, good for you.
I could not. I don't think.
Sounds like some sort of a thing a Mark would say.
I don't think that I could agree with this take more if you paid me to be honest, by the way.
Oh, so you agree with the take?
No, I don't think I could disagree
Okay,
with it
because you
more.
said agree.
Oh, no, I don't think I could disagree with this take more if you paid me to. And as Lonzo was pointing out, I'll do a lot of extra work for more money. I don't know what you're going to call me. There's
37 jobs.
There's a word for that. I'm not going to say it on the radio. You know what it is. But I don't think this is the take. I think right now, again, we played the games on the field, right? Like this is another case of somebody saying the imaginary games I play in my head are more important than the games that get played on the field. And that to me is the most aggravating and annoying take that college football fans have.
By the way, real quick, you have mentioned many times about how Vegas, they know and they know what they're doing because it's what they do for a living. And who had the best odds to win the national championship the entire year, except for maybe after Michigan, I don't know, but the entire year, it was Ohio State.
I mean, yeah. It was Ohio State and it was Oregon, and they played each other and one eliminated the other. Like, again, this take to me.
This is what people said they wanted. They wanted a bigger field of teams playing, so a better shot of the top 4 teams that go every single year, it seems like. So there would be a better shot of those teams not making it, and now 1 out of the 4 or 5 teams that make it every year made it. They should be happy. Isn't this parity to a degree?
Yeah, I mean, it's not to a degree. It is parity. I think this is I think this is absolutely a good thing. And I understand why, if you are a fan of one of the teams that got bounced.
Hey, what if Penn State wins the whole thing? They could. They probably won't, but what if they did?
I can understand this take if you are a fan of one of the teams that got bounced. But if you are a fan of watching good college football, I don't know how you can be upset with the way that these playoffs have shaken out. Now, there is only one good take from all of this, and it is that rust from a 3-week layoff is a real thing. Okay? It is. But I would also point out that Oregon had the bye. Oregon played in the conference championship game. Ohio State did not. They had the same amount of time off, right? Like Penn State played in the conference championship game. SMU did not, or excuse me, so did SMU. They had the exact same amount of time off, and Penn State dog walked them. Like, there are spots where teams that played in the conference championship had the exact same amount of time off as the teams that they played because they did not play in the conference championship game. Texas and Arizona State played in their conference championship games. They played in the same amount of time. Texas did have the first round game, though, so they knocked a little rust off. I can get the argument that the layoff for teams that did not participate in their conference championship games may have hurt them to some degree. I can get that argument. And this is why you have people out there like Chip Patterson from CBS making the argument that if we are going to keep the college football playoffs expanded to 12 teams, or even if we're going to go up to 16, that one of the ways to fix the problem, if you believe that there is one of the ways to fix the problem is to get rid of the conference championship games. That's because of this argument. And to be honest with you, I'm actually okay with that. I don't really care all that much. I don't think there is, not with the way that the playoffs are structured and everything is set up. I asked this question of Lonzo earlier in the year. I've asked this question of you guys, the listening audience. If I gave you the option to win your conference championship or go to the playoffs, or I gave you a bye straight to the semifinals, but you were not your conference's champion, which of those would you take? And overwhelmingly, the answer has always been, I'd rather take the bye straight to the semifinals. Not even a guarantee of a natty. I'd rather take the bye straight to the semis than be conference champs and have to play through the whole tournament. And I don't know what to tell you. Conference championship games don't mean what they used to mean anymore with the new playoff structure. Get rid of them. I agree with that take. I don't know. You're not going to be able to do it because the conferences are never going to agree to it. But that would be the best thing to do to level the playing field a little bit. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us when we come back to talk Carolina football on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we're going to step away just a minute to get Rashad logged in. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Rashad Beard, you handsome devil. What's happening, fella?
What's going on, guys?
How's the life, brother?
All is well, man. No complaints. No
Glad to
complaints
hear it.
at all.
Glad to hear it, man.
Trying to see the shirt. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
Going
There we go.
golden age
There we
Marvel.
go.
I dig it. I like it.
Yep, a little throwback. What is the current age of Marvel then?
Oh, man. All right, let's do this thing, man. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate, ordinarily. The young man joining us next on the radio program joins us on Thursdays, but he had to fly around the world, going international man of mystery, so he makes his appearance here on the show on a Friday. The host of the Panther Nation podcast, my dog Rashad Beard, joining us this AM. What's up, big fella?
What's going on, man? Happy New Year's, guys. Yeah, I'm excited. Good stuff. Good stuff.
How's the New Year treating you so far early?
So far, so good, man. No complaints. Hope we can keep it this way, keep the same energy. You know what I mean? Everything is good.
I like it. I like it. The only thing that is disappointing about the New Year is that it means it's that much closer to the end of the NFL's regular season. One more game for the Carolina Panthers. They are up against the Atlanta Falcons, wrap up the year in an NFC South rivalry. Of course, the Falcons will likely be going out for everything they got, because that, combined with the Saints win over the Buccaneers, ain't going to happen, would win that team the division. Look, I think obviously too early to put a postmortem on this season. We'll start doing that next week, Rashad Beard. But look, I've said before, I don't think coaches tank. I don't think players tank. I do think organizations tank. That being said, from what we've heard from Dave Canales, from what we've heard from Dan Morgan, from what we've heard that everybody who's healthy is gonna play, it does sound like Carolina doesn't really care about their draft pick. They're going to go out and try to win one more game, hit that 5 mark. Your 36,000-foot view on Carolina v. Atlanta this weekend.
Yeah, I think this is an important game. It's a division game. All division games matter. You have to go out there and play your best football. You got to make a statement going to end the season, to start the new season next year. And look, man, we're here. Obviously, the season has gone. It's a little weird of a feeling for the Carolina Panthers in that the record doesn't show very good, but the energy is trending in the right direction. So it's a weird feeling to have, and so I think we need to go out there and try to win. Now, I don't care about our draft pick. I think according to our P&P research team, we can go as low as number 2, or we can go as high as pick number 9. So if we lose, you know what I mean, we could probably go low with a combination of a bunch of things, or we can go. So either way, we're picking in the top 10. So it doesn't really matter. You can find talent anywhere. I care more about the W's, and so I want to see a W against my most hated rival, the Atlanta Falcons, going into next Sunday or this Sunday.
Yeah. I think that is the mentality that this team has put forward. And I think it should be, Rashad Beard, because the one thing that we have talked about at length with this team is that, at least to me, the most important thing this year for Carolina was culture building. It was getting rid of all of the crap that's been carried since the day that David Tepper became the owner of this squad and changing the mentality and the culture, much like Dan Campbell has done in Detroit, much like Kevin O'Connell has done in Minnesota. And look at what those two teams are playing for coming up this weekend with the NFC North and the 1 seed on the line. And if you are going to convince me that we are trying to flush the old ways and create new ones, going out there and playing for wins above draft picks is the way that you kind of prove that this is legit and tangible and not just something that's nice to say at press conferences.
Yeah, I mean that plan for draft picks is a loser's mindset. I mean, how often do we see the same teams picking in the top 10? Like, that's a terrible mindset to have. So we got to get out of that mindset. Let's go out there and get some W's. Let's change the narrative here in Carolina. Let's go play some good football. Let's go get a W. Like I said earlier, you can find good draft picks anywhere in the draft. I mean, Patrick Mahomes picked what, 10, 12? Come on. So you can find a good, talented player anywhere in this draft as long as they fit your scheme and what you were trying to accomplish on the field. You can make anything work.
We are talking to Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, let's go back and look at last weekend. Chuba Hubbard goes on the IR ending his season. You go out there and you get smoked by Tampa in that spot. I think you would create a spot. This is not necessarily a bad thing. You would create a spot where the offense revolved around Chuba Hubbard to open everything up for Bryce Young, who did not have a bad day, 200 yards, a couple of touchdowns in the game. But once Chuba went down, I think it was kind of like, all right, we found an identity in this guy. We leaned on it so much, we don't know where else to go from there. This was just a matter of you didn't have the key to the offense. That's really all that game was to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was an ugly game to watch. I hate to see us get smoked like that. But again, Tampa has a lot on the line. Obviously, they're playing for a playoff berth in a division title. So we just weren't ready. You had a couple of guys out. Chuba Hubbard was out. J.C. Horn was out. So without that, Mike Evans does what he does consistently against us anyway. And so it's just not – it wasn't a good circumstances there. And we just got beat. We got out-coached across the board. Just a terrible, terrible game. Chuba being unavailable was not good. I thought we put the ball in Bryce's hands. He did pretty well. There were some passes. Again, every week we come on the show and talk about drops. There was some missed passes out there, and it's like, man, it's a little frustrating. A lot left on the table for Bryce, but it is what it is, man. We got to keep getting better and come back next week, and hopefully we can turn it around.
We are talking to Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. I've heard that take a couple of times, that you got out-coached last week. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't love that from a Todd Bowles coach team. It's, if you were up against the Kevin O'Connell or somebody like that and Andy Reid, I'd go, all right, that's going to happen. I'm not a big Todd Bowles guy, even though they have won the division 4 times in a row. I think it says more about the division than it says about Tampa Bay. What is the reasoning behind your saying that?
I don't know. I mean, look at it defensively. It's just tough. I mean, we don't have the talent. You don't have the guys on the field. It's really tough. I just think it's a lack of talent and execution. When you don't have the guys at Chuba Hubbard, you don't have your guys like J.C. Horn, you don't have guys like Derrick Brown, you don't have some of that talent. It's just tough to match up with guys like Mike Evans, and they're just isolating, right? They're putting Mike Evans up against Caleb Farley, who was a top 10 pick in the past, but has not lived up to that. And so you're just getting, it is what it is. Nothing. It's only so much you can do with the talent you have on the field. And so yes, it's out coached, but yes, it's just a lack of talent as well. It's a couple of things, a couple of factors that come to mind when I say that. I
think that you are correct. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I think the other aspect of this is Tampa's a better team than I think the record even indicates. And I'm not super worried about that. Atlanta on the flip side, obviously interesting with Michael Penix Jr. taking over for Kirk Cousins, who was playing real bad football before he got the boot to QB2. And Penix has been good. I mean, not great, but good enough out of the gate. Outside of that, this is an Atlanta team that just seems to struggle finding an identity, specifically on the defensive side of the football. They don't really seem to know if they want to be a team that plays forward or plays kind of back in a soft zone. It does feel like an opportunity for Carolina to hit the over win total with a win this weekend. What does this game shape up to look like to you?
I don't know, bro. It's a tough one, man. Because first of all, it's just I don't know who's playing, who's not playing. I know you're saying everybody that's available is going to play, but we don't know who's available, right? Everybody's kind of been, hey, surprise! Come Friday, this player's out or this player's not playing. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what to expect, but I do want our guys to go out there and play spoiler, right? I think that's a mentality that the guys need to have to go out there and play spoiler to our probably most hated rival in the Atlanta Falcons, right? And so that Atlanta Falcons team they were locked to be the division champs. The way that roster was set up, they were supposed to come in and win the division. And for them not to do that, it should be a massive disappointment for any Atlanta Falcons fan. So I want to play spoiler to that. I don't know what it's going to look like on the field. Listen, I haven't watched so much Atlanta football. I'm going to be honest with you. I know they were struggling with Kirk Cousins at the helm, and now Michael Penix comes in, and that's their guy. That's their future. So you have an opportunity to put your foot in the grass and say, Michael Penix, this is our division, not yours, right? And so it's going to be a good matchup. This is something we could see Michael Penix versus Bryce Young for years to come. And so let's get it kicked off right here, right now, and get the W going into next season.
Don't disagree. I think this weekend is got a chance to be a big one for a guy we've talked about a lot on the show, and that's Xavier Legette. I mean, I think Bryce has kind of showed you what he can be, when he can be that guy. You and I have talked about it. This guy's getting like probably a good 50, 60 yards in dropped passing yards per game. And XL has unfortunately been one of the culprits of that over the past couple of weeks. I got to think this is an opportunity for XL to really kind of dial in one last time before the season ends. I would really like to see that young man have a big game, especially when Atlanta's prone to giving up passing yards to a wide receiver who is athletic down the field. This feels like the opportunity for XL to really gain a ton of confidence going into the offseason. We know he's probably going to have that wrist surgery. Hopefully, maybe that's a problem and part of the reason he had some issues. This feels like it'd be a good spot for XL to really hit the accelerator run last time before we call it a season.
Oh boy, yes, it would be. A first round pick, man. It's tough out there. If you read the X-verse, the comments and he's taking it all in strong. I love how he is taking it all in and taking the criticism and handling it because it's tough, right? He's getting a lot of heat on X and around the media, so he has to close strong. It would be great for him to have 100+ yard game because it's been there, it's been available. He's been getting the targets. It's just the connection between him and Bryce is just not there, whether Bryce overthrows him or they're just not on the same page or he drops the football. It would be great for XL to end this season on a high note with the 100+ yard game because he needs it. He certainly needs it. I would love to see it, and I certainly second that. It would be fantastic to see XL, our first round draft pick, close strong.
Aside from a win, what's the thing you want to see most out of this game?
Man, just some fight. I don't want to see next week. I don't want to see what we saw last week, right? We just kind of folded last week. I don't want to see us get drubbed in Atlanta. I want to see a competitive game. I want to see our defense stop the run, for goodness sakes. Unfortunately for Christmas, I did not get the stopping 100-yard rusher. That did not happen. I looked under my tree, and it wasn't there, Rob. So we gotta find that. We got to be able to stop the run somehow, some way. Bijan Robinson, very good running back, and we have not been able to stop the run all season. We still couldn't stop it. We knew it was coming against Tampa. We still couldn't stop it. So unfortunately, hopefully that's something we can see is us stop the run, good defense, us play some better defense because it has not been good. Evero, he's kind of on a lot of heat on him. So hopefully he can close strong. XL close strong. Bryce close strong. I just want to see some good football. If we don't win, we don't win. But I just want to see us be competitive.
Can I just need to. I want to interrupt this football for just a second. If XL shows up and brings the raccoon in, are you trying it?
Yeah, I'm a guy that tries all kind of foods, man. I'm trying everything once. So I would certainly try the raccoon. Certainly.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious about that.
I'm going to give everybody listening right now a piece of life advice. If anybody ever comes to you and they talk and sound like XL and they offer you food, eat it because it's going to be 10 out of 10, 100% of the time. It's a guarantee.
He brought it to the team. I don't know if you saw any of those videos.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm not asking for anyone in this area because I'm sure people in this area actually have hunted and eaten raccoon. I don't want any brought in. But if you were to bring some in, Rob, I for sure would try it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. 100%. Two guys I want to give a shout out to, Rashad Beard, and see if you want to do the exact same thing. Two guys I want to give a shout out to the end of the season. Number one, JC Horn, making a Pro Bowl. My guy stays healthy, and he does exactly what I've been saying since he got drafted. This guy can be Pro Bowl caliber if he can stay healthy. He does it. He's Pro Bowl caliber. And the second, and I'm bringing this one up because it makes you look like a genius. It makes me look like a genius. You know who I'm going to say, don't you, Rashad Beard?
BY9.
Say his name.
BY9, of course.
I was going to say
BY9.
Jalen Coker, but let's take BY9 too.
Okay.
You and I
apologies.
both were hopping on. I mean,
My
yes,
apologies.
you and I were the only two BY defenders, I feel like, in the entire Panther universe. But you and I both said going into this year, we feel like Jalen Coker can be a dog, and he's starting to show up a little bit.
Yeah. Salute to JC Horn for sure, man. This is a guy that's dealt with a lot his entire career, injuries across the board. This is basically one of his first healthy seasons, right? And so when he's healthy, we absolutely know that he's elite. And we got to see that this year. He's very, very good. And I'm happy he got his first Pro Bowl because a lot of people jumped off the train. A lot of people jumped off the JC Horn train. He's not it. He's not the guy. He sucks. He's not it. But he proved it this year that he can be a really good perennial Pro Bowl cornerback. And he showed that. So I'm happy for him. He got his first real Pro Bowl, not an alternate, real Pro Bowl nod. Okay. Jalen Coker, of course, man. I was one of the first guys to get Jalen Coker on my show. When he first got picked up as an undrafted free agent, we immediately got him on the show. We were excited about Jalen Coker and his potential opportunity to play a lot of football because of our wide receiver depth. And things occurred during the season. Deontay Johnson out of here, some injuries occurred, and he got an opportunity to show up. And boy, he did he do just that. And so Jalen Coker has a lot of potential. And I'm not saying he's going to be wide receiver one down the road, but there's a lot of potential for Jalen Coker to be a really good wide receiver here in the future. And he's going to do nothing but get better and better. He works hard, quiet guy, not a lot of hoopla around him, goes out there and does his job. And I'm excited. Hopefully we will get Jalen Coker on the show soon after the season ends to kind of see what his season was like. Cause he did deal with a lot of injury or a couple of injuries during the season, kind of see how he dealt with that, kind of getting his brain, but love Jalen Coker, very good guy. And I'm excited for him as well and his prospects in the future.
But also Bryce Young.
Yes, Bryce Young. Shout out to BY9. We got to talk about BY9 because listen, a lot of people were out on BY9. He got benched. And listen, a lot of the criticism behind BY9 is the fact that he's so stoic. He stays at the same level, right? And people were critical about him when he got benched. People was like, "Oh man, he's not a competitive guy." Because look at him, he doesn't care, right? But that quality that he has, just it helped him deal with that benching. He came back, and boy, he is cooking right now. He's cooking right now. And I don't know if there's ever been a quarterback in the history of NFL football to deal with what Bryce Young dealt with, to come back the way he did and fight through it. And he is right now peaking. He's getting to this situation to where he is now going to be the future of the Carolina Panthers. And I'm excited for him. Let's close strong and let's see what he has going in 2025. Zoe, come on, bro. Zoe, I see your face. Come on, man. You got to get on the train, man.
I will say that he has improved. But how many games did he win after coming back from
wins and losses are
coming
not
back
a
from the-
quarterback
it's-
stat.
I mean,
I'm going to tattoo it on my damn forehead.
Yeah, you go ahead.
It's not a quarterback stat.
Well, yeah, I'm waiting for that tattoo because that sounds like an agreement and a contract.
Rashad
I want to see
Beard.
that written on just like that sign that's supposed to be back there that says that.
Rashad's got a master's degree in knowing ball. Are wins and losses a quarterback stat, Rashad Beard?
Wins and losses are not a quarterback
Thank
stat.
you.
It's a team game.
Thank you.
There's about 1,000 yards left on the field with drops. With
By the way, I agree with you there about the drops. Here's the thing: he has improved for sure. And do I think they need to go get another quarterback? No, I do not. But I am not the hype that you guys are putting in there. I still need to see some wins. I need to see some finishes because some fourth quarters he's still not there yet. You can fall out of your chair. That doesn't make you right.
We're right for sure.
I know we're right, Rashad. You know we're right.
We
I
need
know
to end
we're
this
right.
segment right now.
All right. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Find them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, get subscribed to the YouTube channel. Turn that bell on because they're live like all of the time. You guys doing the thing on Sunday again?
Yeah. We will be live reacting to the game. It's going to be fun. Tune in if you can. Good times.
You know I'm coming by. My dog, Rashad Beard, joins us usually on Thursdays, but when he can't make it on Thursday, kind enough I come by on a Friday. My brother, good to have you as always. Big Dog, we'll talk to you next week and do a little season recap.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Done and done. Rashad Beard, Panther Nation Podcast. Joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Now on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate is the Lonzo Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Yeah, I would never cut him off on purpose, but,
Rude.
Procedure. The final college football playoff semifinal spot has been claimed. The boss told me to do this by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish with a 23-10 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard threw for only 90 yards. That's not very good. And a touchdown, and a Notre Dame ran for 150 yards. But a 98-yard kick return for a touchdown separated the teams. Georgia's sophomore quarterback Gunnar Stockton threw for 234 yards and a touchdown, which is really good for a guy who hadn't played all year in his first start. But Georgia had 3 critical drops, including a likely touchdown. Notre Dame will take on Penn State in the semis. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 3:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the UNC Greensboro Spartans. It's Furman versus UNC Greensboro right here on your home for Furman basketball. It's us. It's right here. It's the Fan Upstate. Oh, no, I don't know why you're talking when the mic's still on.
No, it's not going to be. No, hang on, guys. We'll be right back. Let me take this on a bye. So for those of you that were watching the stream during the break, you know that we have been having a discussion about whether Lonzo, who is going through some stuff with the old knee.
I've got arthritis. They say I need a knee replacement. So there. I mean, you know.
I mean, it's up to you how much you're willing to reveal.
Oh, listen. I broke my knee in 1987. Okay, this
lost his groin in the same game.
No, I never did that, but I know some people who allegedly did. So it was pieced together in 1987, and it held all this time. But now it's riddled with arthritis. So they say it well. You should see the X-rays. It's pretty bad. So it needs to be replaced.
So we were having the debate. Does Lonzo get a Gandalf staff, walking stick staff, or my suggestion was get a pimp cane, big diamond on the top, right? Whole shellac. And we gone back and forth. During the break, Captain America, Chris Evans down the hall came in, and I did not realize that a mic was on. So some of you heard this. We were like, Chris, does he go bow staff, like walking staff, like Gandalf, the white, or does he go pimp cane like Gator from the other guys? And Chris said he should get one of those old people staffs that has like tennis balls on the bottom. And I got to tell you, I was offended for Lonzo at that point.
Yeah, well, I expected that from Chris. So I mean, that's
you
fine.
Really did. You called that shot.
That's fine.
You called that shot.
I will get my vengeance because I always do. So,
Gamecock fans, I have a question for you. Nick Imanwari played the first half of the Citrus Bowl, sat out the second half. Now, the controversy that is happening right now is that it seems that Nick Imanwari made the decision to sit out the second half. So basically, I'm going to go in, I'm going to play half, I'm going to give you as much pillow as I can give you, and then I'm out the second half of the game. I don't really have an issue with that. Didn't have an issue that Cam Ward did it. Didn't have an issue that Nick Imanwari did it. The problem that is coming out is that there was discussion about a miscommunication between Nick Imanwari and the football team itself. And now the conversation is coming out that, and Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports reported that Shane Beamer was not notified pregame or at halftime that Nick Imanwari would sit the second half of this game. The rumor going around right now is that Nick had decided he was not playing the second half, but he didn't tell anybody that. He just was like, "Yep, I'm out. It's not happening." And then didn't tell Shane. So basically, when it came for the defense to go out in the second half, Shane was like, "Yo, where's Nick Imanwari?" And Nick was on the sideline like, "Yeah, I'm good, coach. I'm over here. I'm set. I'm good. Y'all have fun. Good luck, everybody. I'm here for you." I don't. For guys that have legitimate NFL draft prospects, I don't have an issue with sitting out for the whole bowl game. I don't have an issue with playing for one half of the bowl game. The only thing I have an issue with here is that you kind of got to tell the head coach, right?
See, I do have an issue with only playing a half. I mean, just don't play. If you don't want to play, don't play. I'm fine with that. But don't go there and say, here's what you could get if I played in the second half, but I'm done. But yeah, through all those situations that I just named, telling the coach is probably priority.
It's the only problem I have.
Yeah, you gotta.
It's the only problem I have. I don't have a problem with sitting.
Or tell an assistant coach.
If
I mean, an assistant coach can tell the coach.
Yeah, just tell somebody, right? If that is what happened, and if Nick just didn't tell anybody he wasn't playing in the second half, or worse, he thought somebody was going to pass that information on, which is a possibility, right? Nick may have an agent. He expected the agent was going to tell him. Nick has some sort of manager. He expected the manager was going to tell him. Whatever the case, if
Maybe
he expected somebody was going to tell him.
Collective that actually works for the school to tell him.
Collective doesn't work for the school, but make up whatever you want to make up. However you think it was going to handle, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the coaches have got to know. The school's got to know. I don't care if a guy sits the second half. He gave them the opportunity. He gave them as much as he was going to give them. As I pointed out before, if I got to do something around the house and The wife says, well, I got to go into the office after lunch, but I'll help you around the house for the first half of the day before I got to go to the office and make that money. I'm not going to go, well, either help me or don't. I'm going to go, yeah, I'll take whatever help I can get. I'll take whatever help I can get.
Your analogies never work.
That one worked perfectly.
No, it doesn't.
How does it not?
It doesn't.
Nick Eamon-Warmy played for half of the game and gave the Gamecocks the best defense that they were able to have for half of the game, said, I'm going to give you the best advantage I can give you, and then I'm going to go get ready for the NFL draft. Half of a game with Nick Eamon-Warmy is better than a game with no Nick Eamon-Warmy. That's just objectively how things work.
I disagree, because if you know he's not going to be there, you can plan like he's not going to be there so more people can get reps in practice. You can be better prepared as opposed to we know we got this position taken care of because Nick's going to be out there and then suddenly he's not. And you look over, he's not injured. He's not dressed. Why is he not? What's going on?
Again, the issue in this case, like Cam Ward told Miami, I'm setting the record, I'm playing a half, and then I'm out. That guy's a top 10 draft pick. He said, I'm playing a half, I'm setting the record, and I'm out. And the coaches said, okay, cool, we're good with that. We're good. I assume they said, okay, we're good with it, because otherwise they just wouldn't have played him.
Yeah, I doubt they were good with it, but they didn't really have a choice.
Sure, they had they could have said
they
no.
just not played him at all.
Yeah, could have said no. Yeah, you're not starting. You're either playing a full game or you're not. And for the record, and this is why it's an issue with Nick Eamon-Warmy, if a player goes, Coach, I'm going to play the first half, and then I'm out, then the coach can say either, why don't you go ahead and head on out now, right? Go ahead and pack it up. Go out and clean out your locker. We'll see you when we see you. Good luck in the league. Or the coach can say, cool, okay, we'll take you for whatever we can get you. The issue here with Nick Eamon-Warmy is that he didn't tell anybody. But here is the comment that I just read on a Carolina message board during the break that made me want to address this. At ThunderGod2467 on Reddit.
So he's not like Thunder God 1. He's Thunder
2467.
Okay.
He is the
right.
2,467th Thunder God.
That's a lot of Thunder Gods.
Lot of Thors hanging around. Said, quote, Eamon-Warmy just might have ruined his reputation here worse than Juice Wells. Wells ditching us for another team, at least it was in the offseason, and trolling us with their coach is one thing, but having a starter say he's going to play in a bowl game, but then all of a sudden quit halfway through without telling anyone is a new low. No, I'm going to say what Juice Wells did is definitely worse. I'm going to assume that this was a genuine miscommunication between Nick and the coaching staff, that Nick assumed somebody was going to tell Shane in the game that he was playing one half. The only other thing I can think of is that, Shane maybe made a comment after Cam Ward did what he did, played the first half, set the record, and then bailed out. That Shane said something in practice like, I'd rather have you not play. And Nick was like, well, I kind of want to play, so I'm just not going to tell anybody. And then I'll quit at halftime. But I can't imagine maybe it is, but I can't imagine that's the case. I think what Juice Wells did was worse, right? Like Juice, even after he knew he was transferring, was still cut. Not only did he not play, and again, I'm not going to speculate that he avoided playing and faked an injury to do so, but we know that he stayed on campus after he decided to transfer. We know that he was still coming into the locker room. We know he was still getting the fade in the barbershop in the facility before he took off to go to Ole Miss. And then in that bowl game that Ole Miss played in last night, dude was openly mocking Shane Beamer, was doing the hold me back in the end zone, openly mocking Shane Beamer. In that moment was Juice Wells. I'm going to say Juice Wells is the worst dude between these two. I'm going to give Nick Eamon-Warmy, who to me was a heartbeat of this team this year, a little bit of credit and say that I assume this was genuinely a miscommunication. I also don't care that much, man. Like I genuinely don't care. I genuinely don't care. It doesn't make sense. Like whatever, dude. The bowl games are good for 17. Now, I will say this. The only way I would have an issue with it is if you were competing at a spot where, let's say there's like 3 guys competing for the starting job next year and you got to dress one or you got to not dress one because you're keeping a roster spot for a guy who's going to quit at the half, who's going to check out, opt out at the half, whatever you want to call it. But here's what I'll say. That's when the coach gets to decide what's more important to me. Winning the bowl game or getting ready for next year. Winning the bowl game or getting guys prepped and ready for next season. And then it just becomes a priority. If I'm Shane Beamer, I kind of want to get to 10 wins, right? I kind of want to be the first guy in a long while to get 10 wins as the head coach of the University of South Carolina in a football season. And if that's the case, I'll take Nicky Manwari for a quarter. I'll take him for a half. I'll take him for as much as he's willing to pay and risk his NFL future by playing in a game that, aside from, and this is, I had a conversation with one of the friends of the show a couple of days ago. We were going back and forth about this. Because he texted me, or he DM'd me, and he said, if Beamer knew Nick was only going to play a half, then that is complete. Wait, I got to get ready. Is complete bull. Oh, my daggum board's broken. Complete bull beep. You know what I'm going for.
Is it muted?
No, it's every now and then when I close it and then I open my soundboard.
Well, someone did come in and just work on it, so maybe they.
No, it wasn't that. It's
Okay,
just the board.
all right.
Sometimes it changes its settings. It doesn't matter. All right. Hey, he said it's complete bull bleep, and I whatever. I responded by saying, why? You got a solid half from an early NFL draft pick that he didn't have to
Maybe
give
your
to you.
computer decided it was only going to work for half the show.
I love that clip so much. That's just raw Gronk being happy.
Do you love it so much because I hate it so much?
No, I play that. I will. I will carry that clip with me.
That's
for
why
the
you
rest of my
watch
career.
me every time you play it.
Well, I know you do hate it too, but dude, that clip is just a bro experiencing joy. How do you not love that? That's just a dude in his element.
If you're out with your guys and that guy laughs like that, you do whatever you can to not be next to him when he's laughing, because that's embarrassing.
Dude, if somebody makes a 69 joke, I ain't judging him for
Well,
laughing
you
like that.
probably were the one who made the joke, but still.
Nice. He said that's BS. Either play the whole game or don't play at all. But that's where we are in college athletics. I said, again, why? My dude risked a career-altering injury to give you a chance to win game number 10. He could have bailed entirely like Sanders and Kennard. The response was, if you get paid, then you play all of the games unless injured. I hate where college athletics is now, and there's no going back either. My response was, as I have said to Lonzo literally today, they are not paid to play. They're paid for their name, image, and likeness. I'm not going to hate on the players because the suits in charge screwed up their chance to put the rules in place. Bowl games are meaningless outside of, and here are the words that I have been leaning on, narrative victories. Getting to 10 wins is a narrative victory. Getting to 10 wins is a moral victory. It is a victory that does not mean anything other than narratives for the franchise, for the program. It's beating another blue chipper. It's beating a rival. It's getting to 10 wins or 11 wins or 12 wins or whatever the case might be. Outside of that, it doesn't mean anything. So if this guy said, you know what, in a game that means nothing to me, other than saying I was a part of the first 10-win program in however many years for South Carolina, which again, I don't know if you know this, the NFL's not giving you extra money for that. For an NFL draft pick to play in a game that means nothing other than having your name attached to the narrative that you were on a 10-win South Carolina Gamecock football team, for that dude to step up and give you a half is more than he had to give you. As you saw with Rocket Sanders and Kyle Kennard, who both said, yep, I'm good, I'm out. Later, bye.
So say you're a player that's on the edge of being drafted in the first round and the second round, and you decide to play in that game and you show out. Didn't that help you playing in that game?
Maybe. I mean, that depends on the NFL team, right? That's subjective to the NFL team. That's what Jalen Milroe tried to do, right? That guy's a pick who's trying to elevate his draft status. What did he do? Go out and throw 3 picks. Jalen Milroe would have been better off not playing in the bowl game for Alabama. He'd have been better off. You see why I'm saying? Everybody focuses in on guys like Jake Butt, who suffer career-altering injuries. But there's also going out there and sucking in that game and hurting your draft status.
And there's also going out there and showing out and improving your draft status. It's a risk no matter what. Some people are willing to do it. And
sure,
I don't have a problem with that.
Right. Just like I don't have a problem with the guy bailing at halftime and going, I've given you what
I
I'm
have a
going
problem
to
with
help you.
bailing.
Now I'm out.
I mean, just tell somebody. Just don't even play at all. I mean, he wasn't going for a record or anything, right? Going for the record, I understand.
He was going to get 10 wins with the Gamecocks. He was trying to help you to 10 wins. He gave you a half to give you some cushion.
So he was, if they got the 10th win, he would still only get 9.5 wins because he only played for a half.
Yes, that's how it works.
Yeah,
we gauge wins in halves.
Yeah, we do, apparently.
Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute from right now. We'll get some NFL talk out of the way. Text your answer to which team in the semifinals do you think is most likely to win the Natty? Text Lions, Longhorns, Buckeyes, or Irish to 844-326-3663. We'll tally those votes up at the end of the next segment. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
So I'm guessing that these recorded lives are playing were supposed to be lives, but they're not paid for. So I guess it doesn't matter, like the bourbon thing, because there's a recorded view coming up here in a second.
Yep.
Although if I get back in time, I'm going to interrupt your spot and say Porky Treats.
Porky Treats. Right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
Yeah, I just listened to that clip, Joey B. Dwayne told Jimmy Johnson that he had one decision to make, which was, do I go to Miami or go to Clemson? We find that out 2 weeks after Rob Gronkowski said that he was determining between Arizona State and Clemson. And my favorite story from Gronk, I think I played the clip on the show. In fact, I know I did, was that after he picked Arizona State, he said he got a phone call from a group of Clemson girls that were like, you messed up. You could have come here. We'd have taken care of yada, yada, yada. And Gronk was like, oops.
I believe Gronk. I don't believe Dwayne. I think Dwayne will tell anybody what they want to hear.
Why would Jimmy Johnson want to hear that Dwayne almost went to Clemson?
It's revenge or something. He blames Jimmy Johnson for his NFL career never happening. It's all Jimmy Johnson's fault. Everything with The Rock is a work. There's something.
That part's probably
There's an
mostly true.
advantage to it financially or some other way in there. Gronk doesn't care. Plus, if The Rock never became The Rock, he was just Dwayne Johnson. If he played for Clemson, he was just Dwayne who played for Clemson and never did anything afterwards. Gronk is like the number 3 tight end of all time, so he at least had that.
Dwayne. The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the fan upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, and you. Last call for votes on our text line poll of the day. The question we are asking, which of the 4 semifinal teams do you believe is the most likely to win the college football national championship? Here is how you vote. You send a text to 844-326-3663. And in that text, you open it not with the keyword fam, which you don't have to do anymore because the new text line belongs exclusively to us. So no more keyword fam. All you got to do is send your text and it comes directly to us. To vote in today's poll, which of the 4 playoff teams still alive in the college football semifinals do you believe will win the national championship game? Text 864-448-37. Nope, excuse me. 864-844. I can do this, I promise. 844-326-3663. And say Buckeyes, Lions, Longhorns, Irish. From those 4 teams, Buckeyes, Lions, Longhorns, or Irish. Text one of those to 844-326-3663. And at the end of this segment, we will tabulate those votes and we will tell you whomst the Armada believes will be your 2024 college football national champions. 844-326-3663. Text Lions, Longhorns, Buckeyes, or Irish to that number, and we will tell you who the people's champ are when we get to the end of the segment. I should say at the beginning of the next one, you get the point. As of right now, it is all Buckeyes. As of right now, it has stayed all Buckeyes. We will find out if the Buckeyes maintain their vote as the people's champions between here and the beginning of the next segment. Until we get there, I asked this question last night, last night on BetMGM Tonight. I was filling in for Ryan Horvat alongside Noisy Huevos Bradley Evans. I asked them this question. I will ask you the same question. Which NFL wildcard team, excluding the runners-up in the NFC North, because that's obviously the go-to answer. Obviously, the go-to answer is whichever one of the 2 14-win teams don't win the NFC North and end up being a wild card team. Of all the rest of the NFL wild card teams, which of those NFL wild card teams do you believe is the team that can make it to the Super Bowl or has the best chance to make it to the Super Bowl? I've given a couple so far. I think the LA Rams are a scary team that nobody wants to see. I think the Rams are a scary team nobody wants to see. I've given another one that I'm interested in, and that is my rookie of the year pick, Jaden Daniels and his Washington Commanders. Bum, 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 bum. I think that team is kind of scary. I think that team's got weaponry that they can lean on. I think they have got a quarterback who is afraid of, at this point, not a damn thing. And why would he be? He has been in the pressure cooker a number of times, and he's come out with fourth quarter magic and some dubs repeatedly. So why would the playoffs change any of that? I think those two teams are two teams I'm exceptionally scared of. As far as the AFC goes, there is one team that I put into that equation. I don't think that team's going to the playoffs, so I don't think it's going to ultimately matter. But that one team that I am afraid of, if they were to get in, would be the Cincinnati Bengals. If the Bengals find their way in, and again, they're not going to. The Bengals need a lot to go right. Not only do they have to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, not a given, because the Steelers on Saturday night are also playing for the division. But if the Bengals find their way past the Steelers, the Chiefs backups upset the Denver Broncos. They are 10.5-point dogs in this game. And the New York Football Jets decide to win one for the Gipper and go send Aaron Rodgers out, because I do think he is out, with a win in his final game as a New York Jet, maybe his final game in the NFL, period. If all that goes right and the Bengals sneak in, then I do think the Cincinnati Bengals, led by a quarterback in Joe Burrow, who is going to eclipse the 5,000-yard mark. And can we call it a buck? If Joe Burrow's team wasn't 8-8, Joe Burrow would be the MVP this year. Okay? That's the season he's having. If he was 8-8 this year, if he was not 8-8 this year, I think Joe Burrow would end up being your MVP. So with that being said, if they snake in, I think Cincinnati becomes the team on both sides of the bracket out of the wild card spot that I want to see the least, with the exception of the NFC North runners-up.
He was 8-8 in the NFC South, be in contention.
Oh, for sure.
For winning.
For sure. If he was 8-8 in the NFC South, his team would be in the playoffs, and I think the MVP vote would be he's like plus 2,500. I think he'd be closer to like plus 1,000 if he was in the NFC South, because he'd be in the playoffs. Also, if he was in the NFC South, they'd be like 12-5 if we're keeping it a buck. They'd beat everybody in the South. All right, let's get a phone call in here before we're under the break. Lonzo, I still don't have my software to tell me who's on the phone.
TA.
Who?
TA.
DA?
TA.
TA. TA, welcome to the show, big dog. How we doing?
All right, my man. That was the most obvious statement about Joe Burrow that I've ever heard. I think you can still make a big argument that he's got MVP statistics as it is. But the reason I called, you're talking about wild card teams, I think you haven't mentioned it, but I think the loser of the Vikings-Lions team or game is going to be the favorite from the wild card position to make a run at the Super Bowl. That to me, that's just clear, and it's just a clear. Those two teams are phenomenal. They're in the same division, obviously, and I just think the loser of that game is going to have. They're going to drop to a 5 seed. And they're going to have kind of a hard, which everybody's going to have a hard way to the Super Bowl. But my pick over the discussion is the loser of that game in the NFC. What is that?
North.
NFC North.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
TA.
So this one is dropped that.
Appreciate it, big dog. Thanks for checking in. No, I did mention that game. In fact, the setup for the take was which wild card team that is not the runners-up of the NFC North, because the runners-up of the NFC North are easily the best wild card team, the team that becomes the most dangerous out of the wild card spot. I actually said the setup for the conversation was which non-NFC North team is the most dangerous wild card. But I agree with you. Listen, I'll tell you what I love about these two teams. And it's not just that they're both very good. It's not just that they have a pair of quarterbacks that I'm rooting for Sam Darnold. I'm rooting for Jared Goff. Jared Goff is in Detroit because the Rams gave up on him after he took him to a Super Bowl. They just were like, all right, we're done with this guy, which I thought was a joke. So I'm rooting for Jared Goff as well. But I'll tell you why I love it. Because I love Dan Campbell and I love Kevin O'Connell. I love a pair of dudes that showed up, went to the grind to build a culture in those two franchises that's of their image. And it's worked with Kevin O'Connell. You got this super tight together team. With the Detroit Lions, you got this blue collar bite their kneecaps squad. And that culture has taken the team, got the players to buy in, and here's two teams now playing for the 1 seed. I love these two teams.
Keep ignoring the Chargers, man. I know you. I just watch. I'm scared of the Chargers.
I'm not scared of the Chargers. I'm more scared of the Rams. I think this Rams team could end up being real interesting if they make it all the way in. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute from right now. Last call for your vote. We'll give the answer when we come back. Text 844-326-3663. Lions, Buckeyes, Longhorns, Irish. Who's winning the Natty? Back after this with the winner on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
We'd never gotten that far in that song. I didn't realize the bass thing right there. That was really cool. So, I mean.
That was dope. I've never heard that before.
Because we never gotten that far in it. So. Probably get flagged for it. Probably sounds like something else.
I agree with it being the Commanders. That is the team I'm scared of. Unless the Bengals get in, it's absolutely the Commanders. I totally agree. That was my pick.
So if I get the Gandalf walking stick, you think they'll let me use it in the grocery store?
They have to, right? Or do they go, no, sir, that's a weapon. You can't bring it in. You should get like a.
It's my emotional walking.
You should find like a I don't know what, like a concussion activated firework that you could hit it on the ground and it would pop off.
Yeah, but I'd be just doing that all during the show. So probably. And probably would activate, the sprinkler system. That would be bad.
Lonzo burns down an Aldi.
Well, here's the thing. You'll never catch me in one of those, so you don't have to worry about it. Because every time we get something from them, I get stems. So I don't want any vegetables from there. If we get meat from there, I'll get grizzle. It doesn't matter. I mean, they don't like me. So fine. I don't need a sword cane. Maybe I should get a bow staff. How sturdy are bow staffs? Have you ever held a bow staff?
Isn't Gandalf's stick technically a bow staff?
No.
Bow staff is like one.
Yeah,
thickness all the way through, I guess.
Look up Donatello.
I typed it in just because I was curious, and they make like a cylinder that's a collapsible bow staff, so it's got a pin on it like a locking mechanism, and you unlock that and hit it, and it shoots out on both sides.
You know what character uses that in the comics?
Not original Gambit. Does a newer Gambit use one of those? Oh, your guy, Nightwing, doesn't he? Yeah, that's right. I knew that. I was like, I know Remy uses a bow staff, but his isn't expandable.
I think he also has a kind that will come apart and
Yeah.
also be the sticks and all that stuff. I don't know what they're called when they're sticks. Are they just sticks? I don't know. I should just, cut a branch off of a fallen tree and whittle a cane. That's what I should do. I'm telling you, he says Rod. I'm telling you, he says Rod.
Can you play that specific one again?
Give me a second.
All right, I'm because I never think to listen to it, so I'm curious. So we had Kane. Kane called a couple of weeks ago. Actually, used the Ray Memorial Hotline.
You mean Kane, the guy we interviewed from the?
No, not that one.
Okay.
Not the Big Red Machine Kane. P1 in the Armada Kane called not too long ago. And Kane said, Kane called me Rod on the Ray Memorial Hotline, which once we get the text line back up and going, we're going to go back to asking you guys to use the Ray Memorial Hotline as well. That's the best way to get your voice on the radio outside of calling the show. The Ray Memorial Hotline on the Odyssey app. We'll get back to that probably next week. But Kane called me Rod on the air, which was objectively hilarious. And ever since then, we kind of I changed my Twitter handle to Hot Rod Brown because I find it hysterical.
I got it ready if we want.
All right, hit me.
Text or call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is the Rod Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Telling you, he says,
I think he does. I think that meant a bit of misfire that turned into one of the most hilarious gimmicks on the show now.
Here's the thing. Knowing the person who wrote that.
Yeah, but we've had that longer than the Rod Brown joke has been going.
No.
Unless you think that started it.
No, what I'm saying, that's a new liner for the new text line.
Is it?
Yes.
I wasn't
They
even
just
paying attention.
wrote it. They just put it in.
Then that's even better.
Someone just wrote it. I know who wrote it. So do you.
Then that's even better.
How do we know he didn't write it that way?
Then that's even better, man. That's phenomenal. That's well done. If that is an intentional hit, that's a good hit, and I'm gonna take it.
I know that person's sense of humor pretty well, and it wouldn't shock me if he didn't do that on purpose.
Hey, here's a fun thing.
What is it, Rod?
I want you to know, of all the wrong names that you could call me, that's the one that I'm like, yeah, I can roll with that. I can get down with
Rod,
that.
do you know any Rod that's not a cool dude?
No.
I mean, yeah.
Well, first off, do you know any Rods? I know 0 Rods. I know Roderick and one wrestler.
The Hot Rod, Roddy Piper. I mean, he was a Rod.
Dead guy.
But still,
how many alive guys that are not wrestlers do you know that go by Rod?
Anyone whose name is Rodney, a lot of times Rod is their.
I don't disagree. How many guys do you know that go by Rod? I know 0. Which is hilarious because it might be the most obvious adult entertainment stage name of all time.
Rod Serling.
Okay, 1.
He's also dead. He's
0. Back to 0. Immediately back to 0.
I'm pretty sure there's an announcer named Rod. I'm sure.
Rod Carew
in the NFL.
Is there a Rod that I'm just not thinking of right now? I mean, I know Rodney, and I know one Roderick. I don't know any Rod. I might just go. I may just automatically change that. I might just be Rod Brown from now on. I don't hate it. I don't. It's kind of great. All right. Real quick, you got 2 minutes to get your votes in. Which team?
Rod Smith, Rod Gardner,
okay,
Rod
one.
Martin, Rod Perry, Rodrigo.
That's it. The Rodrigo Brown Show.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Chicas y chicos. Bienvenido a la Rod Brown Show. Ah, yes.
That's the wrong one.
That's definitely the wrong one.
That's the wrong one.
That's definitely the wrong one. Hello, ladies. Are you here for sensual sports talk? Sports talk with just a little bit of romance.
Dude, you're Rodrigo. You got to have a Spanish accent.
Bienvenido a la Roderick Brown Show. Me llamo Rodrigo. Mi amor. Yo quiero you. All right, that's enough. That's I weirded myself out. That's unusual.
Let me look up and see if I can find Rico Suave. Do you even know this? Rod Stewart. Very good.
All right, Rod Stewart is dead-ish.
Rod McDowell. He's more Roddy McDowell, but still, he's still Rod.
Last call. You got 60 seconds to get your vote in. Who do you believe is winning the national championship out of the 4 semifinal teams? Text 844-326-3663 and text either Lions, Longhorns, Buckeyes, or Irish. Just text one of those words. Lions, Irish, Buckhorns, Buckeyes, or Longhorns right now to 844-326-3663. That poll will close in about 60 seconds from right now, and we will tabulate the votes. I will tell you that unless there is just an absolute swarm of somebody that's not Ohio State, this is just about a runaway for the Buckeyes right now with 15 seconds left to vote. Ohio State taking home 67% of the Armada's votes, 22% of the votes going to Notre Dame. Texas received 1 vote, and Penn State received 1 vote. So the Rob Brown Show Armada has bought in to the Buckeyes are the hype as the semifinal team most likely to win. I don't have an issue with that. The team has played 2 playoff games. They have wrecked stuff in those 2 semifinal playoff games. And that's not an oopsie daisy. That's not Tennessee had a bad game. That's not Oregon had a bad game. That's Ohio State did what they wanted to do and nobody knew what to do to stop them. I mean, that's where we are. That's what it is at this point. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Poll officially closed. Ohio State, 67% of the vote. They are the Rob Brown Armada's choice or belief to win this national championship. I was going to hang on this for the last 4 minutes before we get to what the X is going on. But there are reports out. I want you to know how much I hope this happens. There are reports. There are reports out that if Mike McCarthy is fired by the Dallas Cowboys, the Chicago Bears would hire him as their head coach. I got to tell you, I try not to revel in other teams' misery.
The lead up into that, I thought this was going to be something amazing.
That's not hilarious to you. That's not objective. That the Chicago
what's hilarious
Bears
is that you just killed your video screen.
I just moved my computer and it just unplugged itself. What is hilarious to me is that the Chicago Bears would look at what has happened in Dallas, Texas, and they would say to themselves, with everything that is going on, we believe that Mike McCarthy is the guy that's going to show up and fit. Mike McCarthy. That's the guy that is the second biggest problem in Dallas behind Jerry Jones' ego. That's the guy that's going to show. You got Ben Johnson in Detroit, a Detroit Lions team that is just outscoring everybody right now. So in the second half of the season, Detroit's got the worst defense in the league, and yet they've lost 3 games. You're telling me right now, in a spot, that you could have Ben Johnson, who reportedly wants the Chicago job. I don't know why. Short of he just believes that Caleb Williams is going to be an absolute dog, which, fine. I'm not going to push back on that. This man, in charge of one of the most successful offenses in the NFL this year, wants to come be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And they're looking at Mike McCarthy, who's about to get fired for yet another unsuccessful season in Dallas. And again, not the biggest problem. It's Jerry Jones' ego. But a guy who's about to get canned by Dallas, and the Bears are looking at hiring that guy instead of Ben Johnson. I am going to say, James and Will just jumped on. Will said, contract the Bears, just delete the franchise. Yes. Yeah, I mean it. If the Bears pass on Ben Johnson to hire Mike McCarthy, dude, rip the franchise away from the McCaskey. Screw them.
So is Mike McCarthy a step down from who they have now?
No, he's a step up.
Okay.
He's a step up.
All right.
So am I. Eberflus, well, he's not Eberflus
All right,
now. It's Thomas Brown now.
You haven't won a Super Bowl, as far as I know. You've only been here 4 years or whatever, and so maybe you did win one before you came here.
I would be the Brad Johnson of coaches if I won a Super Bowl. Look, sincerely, if they decide to go with Mike McCarthy over Ben Johnson, honestly, I'm dead serious. At that point, if I'm Roger, ordinarily I'd make fun of you and I'd go, I'm not going to do that right now.
Kind of still did that thing.
Yeah, that was the point. Roger, if the McCaskey family hires Mike McCarthy over Ben Johnson, I am dead serious when I say you should step in and take their franchise away from them. That very serious. I was on last night. All the dudes that work on the BetMGM Tonight program, with the exception of Hayden Asmario, they're all based out of Chicago. They're all Bears guys. We got to talking about this. Every one of them was like, for the first time in my life, I will find a new team. I will be obligated to find a new team.
You know, you hear that from a lot of fans, and how many of them do that?
None, but that's not the point. The point is to be dramatic.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Dramatic, like my on-purpose pause. Yeah. All right.
Nailed it.
The first thing that's Xing, since we're talking about NFL coaches, Mike Vrabel is Xing.
Mike Vrabel is Xing because Mike Vrabel is going to be a head coach next year. The question is where. And I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you where he should not be. Chicago. Go get Ben Johnson. You have a rookie quarterback. Look at what happened with Bryce Young. You can do the same thing, and Ben Johnson's the guy to get you there. Now, where can Mike Vrabel go? Dallas. That wouldn't happen, though, because Vrabel would take the hoodie approach of, I'm going to run this team my way, and I'm going to build the roster the way I want it. And you know damn good and well Jerry Jones. If Jerry Jones would pull a Dave Tepper and be like, you know what? Everything's been going wrong. I'm going to get out of the way and let a dude do it. Mike Vrabel would be a great coach for the Dallas Cowboys, but Jerry Jones can't bring himself to do what Dave Tepper's done and get the hell out of the way.
First of all, Chicago would have won more games if they stuck with Justin Fields. Second of all, Vrabel, according to the internet, so it must be absolutely true, is interviewing with the Jets today.
I got to tell you, it's got to be a complete offseason reboot for the Jets, right? Like everything. Get rid of Aaron Rodgers. Get rid of everybody on that team that's not like Garrett and Sauce, everybody, and Brees. Everybody else has got to go. Rebuild that thing from the ground up. And if you're going to do that, Vrabel's a good pick for that. I really don't hate that fit.
If you want to bring in a tough guy, a guy who's not going to take any crap from anybody, all that kind of stuff, then you bring in Vrabel.
Vrabel and Rodgers I was going to say Vrabel and Rodgers would kill each other. No, Vrabel would kill Rodgers. Let's be real clear about that.
You don't know that they don't know each other. You don't know that they're not friends. I mean, it is a possibility as far as age goes and all that kind of stuff. When Aaron Rodgers played in the NFL for a long time. He might have actually played against Vrabel.
The day that Rodgers says, Coach, I'm out for preseason. I'm heading out to the Hobbit Hole to do ayahuasca or whatever it's called in the mountains.
Actually, I think Vrabel would probably be okay with that.
I don't think he would.
Seen some of the videos of what's going on behind him when he's talking?
Yeah, but he's a psychopath of a football guy.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers ain't.
All right.
I would, honestly, jokes aside, I actually would like that fit. Here's the problem the Jets have. Woody is just a crappier Jerry Jones. This man, Lonzo, vetoed a trade that was going to bring Jerry Jeudy to the Jets. You know Jerry Jeudy that's out there kicking ass in Denver right now? Jerry Jeudy was coming to the Jets. You know why he's not a Jet? because Woody's kid said his Madden rating isn't high enough, and Woody vetoed the trade because his Madden rating wasn't high enough. That's not a serious franchise. That's a joke.
Yeah, I have to say this as many times as I can on the air. When my wife made fun of Woody Johnson when he's in the booth next to us, it was just the funniest thing ever.
Not that I already wasn't, but I am Team Miss Lisa. She was right.
When I told her who it was, she did it even more. So that made it even better. He was upset at a preseason game because they were getting butts handed to him.
Yeah, well, then he's been upset a lot of times the last couple of years.
All right, the next thing that's Xing is Jimmy Butler. Speaking of
Jimmy Butler is Xing because yesterday after the Miami Heat game, Jimmy Butler scorched the Heat. He said, "I want to try to find my joy playing basketball again." He's like he said, "I love it here," and then he stopped and he went off the court. And then a reporter said, "Can you find your joy playing here in Miami?" And he said, "No." He scorched the Heat in a play. It was awkward to watch, to be honest with you.
All right, last thing, Ric Flair's is Xing.
I don't know if this is why, but I'm going to tell you what I saw earlier. Ric Flair said he's got one more match in him. No, Rick, you don't. Yeah, all right, you don't.
Stop. He's scared.
But
he knows what's about to happen. That record's about to go by.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure. What's interesting about this, at least hilarious to me, is that somebody tweeted Bronson Reed and was like, "Yo, why don't you tsunami this guy to end it all?" And Bronson Reed goes, "Do you want to see him die?" And that's not a joke. Ric Flair would just Thanos right on the spot. Hey, that's it for us. Thanks for being here. Hope you have a spectacular weekend. Do not drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Uber's cheap. Use it. Okay? Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll come back Monday, and we have to work all 5 days next week. Son of a... Have a great weekend. See you back here Monday on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later! I was going to play the Gronk laugh, but it broke again.
It's a shame. The other real shame is that we ended tied because I self-reported. If I hadn't, you would have lost.
I didn't catch it.
But according to soccer, that means we both win. So we're good.
No, it doesn't. It means we tied.
It means we both win.
No, it means we tied.
We also both lose.
No, it means we tied. It means we both get a point.
Which is a win. If you get a point, then that's a positive.
By the way, ties are also a thing in hockey. So go after the hockey bros, too.
Okay.
All right, dudes, that's it for us. I got a jet. I got stuff to do. I got to be a big boy and do business things today. So appreciate you being here. You're all amazing people. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and famous. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the last weekend of the NFL for those of you that are fans of teams who did not make the playoffs. Again, see y'all Monday. Have a great weekend. Goodbye. Clear.
Open enrollment is going on now, but not for long. Don't risk